Chapter 109. Even a small mountain would be razed to the ground by such a force, not to mention that Jiang Tian only had a mortal body. The martial artists were also unwilling to be outdone, each displaying their own unique skills. Those at the peak of the transcendent state had formed their qi into weapons and were able to attack from a distance. Their true qi formed into spears, swords, iron fists, steel whips and other weapons, which tore through the air and whistled toward Jiang Tian. The initial transcendent state cultivators were able to control objects with their qi. In a blink of an eye, all kinds of weapons such as long knives, short swords, shooting star darts, and sleeve arrows caused a series of terrifying sonic booms. They flew up and down, refracted in a curve, and some of them even circled around Jiang Tian's back and head, forming an inescapable net as they madly shot towards Jiang Tian. This kind of indiscriminate firepower could even kill an immortal state warrior, let alone an internal force cultivator, or a transcendent state warrior. The terrifying attack covered a large area. Not only Jiang Tian, but also Shen Mange, Mai Shilong, Han Yan, and Uncle Lu, who were under Jiang Tian's feet. Han Yan, and Mai Shilong were terrified by the onslaught of weapons and true qi. They knelt on the ground with pale faces and wondered if they could survive this battle. Senior Sister. Elders, please have mercy on us. Senior Sister Mange is still in their hands. Many disciples exclaimed with tears running down their faces. Humph. Jiang Tian, even if you are at the peak of the transcendent state, you won't be able to withstand the combined attack of the Shinong school. You will die on the spot, and your blood will splatter everywhere. Perfected Master Silver Moon sneered. His loose robe billowed in the wind, making him look like an immortal. He didn't forget to glance at Shen Mange and Han Yan, and said in his mind, "You will die a wrong death. But in order to kill Kong Teichu, your sacrifice will be worth it." This was the rule of Shinong school. The family's lintel could not be disgraced. Even if it was self-harm, it had to hurt the enemy. Since Jiang Tian dared to resist and provoke Shinong school, Reverend Silver Moon had to kill him. He even ignored Shen Mange. Good. Decisive and straightforward, without losing the demeanor of a great sect. Jiang Tian praised with a calm expression. Then he stomped his foot and shouted, "But can this hurt me? What is this?" Suddenly, Reverend Silver Moon's eyes widened as he looked at the shocking scene in disbelief. As Jiang Tian stomped his foot, a golden dome of light with a radius of 10 meters suddenly appeared, enveloping Jiang Tian and the group. On the golden light barrier, there were golden runes floating up and down. The runes seemed to be cast from gold. They seemed to have substance and were incomparably heavy. They spun continuously and emitted rays of resplendent golden light. Under the bright light, the pale faces of Mai Shilong and Han Yan were revealed. Their eyes were filled with despair and fear. Any Dharma spells or energy attacks would vanish as soon as they came into contact with the golden light barrier. The golden light barrier didn't even have the slightest ripple. No one knew how tough it was, which shocked everyone. Jiang Tian had completed the second level of qi refinement, and was comparable to an experienced transcendent grandmaster. He activated his divine power and formed an array. Jiang Tian's protective light barrier was a Dharma spell. It was not comparable to ordinary Dharma spells or martial arts. Even when dozens of spells, Zhen Qi, and divine weapons bombarded it, it remained unscathed, as steady as a rock. He knows Dharma spells. Dharma spells and martial arts dual cultivation. How is that possible? His Dharma shield can withstand dozens of Dharma spells. Everyone from Shinong school screamed like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. They were so shocked that they almost jumped up. He practices both Dharma spells and martial arts. Perfected Cultivator Silver Moon's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. She exclaimed in disbelief. Both Dharma spells and martial arts were extremely mysterious in the world of Wuxia. Cultivating was like rowing a boat against the current. It required an enormous amount of effort and energy, and it could be said to be extremely difficult. If a person could master one of the two Dharma spells, he or she would be one of the top cultivators in the world. Therefore, Dharma spells and martial arts dual cultivation was only a legend. Jiang Tian raised his hand and flicked it. Bang! The golden light shield was like a balloon that had been blown up. It continued to expand until it finally exploded. All of a sudden, the power of the spell technique was repelled. True chi shot out in all directions like a torrent, and all kinds of weapons were launched. Ouch! Pfft! Immediately, 3 spellcasters were hit by the backlash of their magic power, and spat out mouthfuls of blood. 2 martial artists who were at the pinnacle of internal force were pierced through by swords and sabers. A large number of martial artists were thrown off their feet, and fell from the main hall. Defend! Reverend Silvermoon shouted. In his horrified eyes, a silhouette grew larger and larger. It was Jiang Tian, who soared into the air and flew over. Die, you arrogant bastard! Seeing Jiang Tian charging over, Zhang Aonian roared and stomped on the ground. A large part of the palace's roof was shattered, and a huge hole appeared. Tiger God Fist. With the help of the surging force, Zhang Aonian pounced on Jiang Tian. He threw 3 punches in the air. Boom, 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 boom. The 3 fists were the size of wash basins. Although they were condensed, they were extremely heavy. They left white marks in the air as they attacked like thunder. Even a steel plate would be broken if they landed. Jiang Tian's heart skipped a beat. He waved his fingers in the air, and a blade aura of true essence swept in all directions. Boom. The true chi fists that couldn't even be penetrated by bullets didn't even last a second under the blade aura. They shattered like clay statues. Bang! Song Aonian's body was split in half from the middle by the blade aura. Blood gushed out from the wound as his body fell to the ground. Everyone was shocked. Everyone revealed a look of horror. Song Aonian, the head of the sect, was a phenomenal success transcendent state grandmaster. He used to be the family lord of an ancient martial artist family in northwest China. Decades ago, he was injured in a fight and almost died. It was Zhuo Zimu who saved his life with his incredible medical skills and elixirs. Song Aonian was grateful to the sect master for saving his life. Otherwise, how could such a powerful figure lower his head and become an elder of a sect? However, Song Aonian was killed by Jiang Tian's blade aura. How could everyone not be shocked? This is terrifying. Just what kind of strength did this person have? Is he an immortal state warrior? Seeing that Jiang Tian had killed Song Aonian, many disciples of the Shenong school were so scared that their legs trembled. They didn't dare to step forward. Even Song Aonian, a phenomenal success transcendent state grandmaster, was killed by Jiang Tian, not to mention the other martial artists. This guy's attack is too powerful. We can't take it head-on. Perfected Master Silvermoon's heart skipped a beat. He shouted. Martial artists only defend. Dharma cultivation masters, attack from afar. Before reaching the Tao body level, the body of a Dharma cultivation master was very weak. If the warriors continued to attack, they would only be sending themselves to their deaths. Moreover, they would expose their weaknesses and allow Jiang Tian to kill the masters of sorcery as easily as cutting vegetables. Therefore, the martial artists acted as human shields while the Dharma cultivation masters attacked from afar. Suddenly, all the martial artists moved to the front to protect the weaker Dharma cultivation masters. At the same time, the Dharma cultivation masters used their Dharma power. As perfected Master Silver Moon gave the order, the second wave of attacks came. 1,000 miles ice, 10,000 arrows. Perfected Master Silver Moon waved his sleeves and made a series of hand seals. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted as if it was the coldest day of winter. Sparkling and translucent snowflakes fell from the sky and froze the ground. At the same time, numerous ice arrows and icicles condensed from mana shot towards Jiang Tiandong. They were crystal clear and emitted cold air in all directions. Diamond Arm's bowl. Break! With a wave of his finger, a sword light that was around 6 m in length swept out, and instantly, 7 or 8 disciples lost their lives. Run! Dozens of guardians and Taoist monks were terrified. They jumped up and down like grasshoppers and hurried to hide in the halls. Humph! You don't dare to fight? Where's the courage you had when you planned to ambush me? Jiang Tian snorted and chased after them. He slammed his palm, and a 3-meter-tall rockery collapsed. 3 internal force Taoist monks who were hiding in the rockery turned into a rain of flesh and blood. Boom! Jiang Tian leaped into the air like a dragon emerging from the sea. He flew more than 10 meters into the air, and when he landed, he stomped the two spellcasting experts into meat paste. Whoosh! Jiang Tian casually tossed out a talisman that turned into a fire dragon and charged out furiously. It burned a large part of the hall to ashes. The disciples hiding there did not even have the time to scream before they died. Chapter 110. At this time, Jiang Tian was like a harvester. It was a one-sided slaughter. No matter whether you were a master of reaching the mystic realm, or a warrior of transforming realm of internal force, he could kill you as easily as crushing ants. For a moment, the whole city of Shenong School suddenly became a hell on earth and a field of carnage. Shrill screams rose one after another. The temple collapsed, the rockery was broken, and black smoke rose to the sky. The ground was covered with corpses and broken limbs. The sticky bloodstains were connected together. The strong smell of blood suppressed the fragrance of medicine and could make people fall down. Our Shenong School has provoked a devil. Reverend Silvermoon was furious. Shock, anger, anxiety, regret, and all kinds of negative emotions came to his heart. His eyes were red. In less than 10 minutes, Jiang Tian had killed nearly 20 martial artists and spell masters, as well as many alchemists and elite inner disciples. The number of people he had killed was uncountable. What a heavy loss. What made him the most depressed was that no matter which corner these worshippers and disciples were hiding in, Jiang Tian was like an omniscient and omnipotent god, instantly seeing through their hiding place, and then killing them with a single move. Jiang Tian was too powerful. He was no match for him at all. At this moment, he realized that he had seriously underestimated Jiang Tian's strength. He couldn't help but feel anxious and sad. Is today the day our Shenong School will be destroyed? You are so arrogant. Stop. At this moment, a voice came from the top of Shenong Peak, which was 1,000 meters high. The voice was far away, but it swept through the whole Shenong School like rolling waves. Everyone could hear it clearly. The head has come out of seclusion. The desperate crowd suddenly saw the hope of turning the tables. Reverend Silvermoon knelt on the ground, clasped his hands, looked up at the top of Shenong Peak, and said loudly, "The elders of Shenong School and the disciples of alchemists welcome the head out of seclusion." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Thousands of disciples of Shenong School knelt on the ground and shouted in unison with reverence, expectation, and ecstasy. The elders of Shenong School and the disciples of alchemists welcome the head out of seclusion. Hey, get up. With the sect master here, none of you will suffer any harm. A soft sigh was heard, and a small white dot suddenly fell from the top of Shenong, which was over 1,000 meters high. The white dot grew bigger and bigger, and finally turned into a figure with big sleeves fluttering in the wind. Just as he was about to land on the ground, he urged his chi, and two wide chi wings appeared on his shoulders out of thin air. They were more than 5 meters long, making him look like a white crane soaring into the sky. With a flap of his long white wings, Swordsmanship glided 100 meters away and landed lightly in front of Jiang Tian. This person was around 40 years of age. He had a thin face, two sword-like eyebrows, and eyes that were like morning stars. His white feathered Taoist robe enveloped his tall and straight figure, and his bearing was ethereal like an immortal. Sect leader Zhua, you've finally come out. Jiang Tian laughed heartily. Swordsmanship glared at Jiang Tian and said coldly, Kong Teichu, how dare you provoke the Shenong School? I'm not provoking the Shenong School. I'm going to destroy you if you don't submit to me. Jiang Tian's face was calm, and his tone was relaxed as if he had just bought a cabbage in the market. Swordsmanship was enraged by Chen Fan's words. He grinned viciously and said, Kong Teichu, you have reached the transcendent state at such a young age. Unfortunately, you have met me, and I will make you regret it. As he spoke, he took out a jade talisman and shouted, Lightning, come! At that moment, the spirit chi in the air became restless. 300 meters above Jiang Tian's head, the sea of clouds churned and formed a 100-meter-wide swirl of dark clouds. Kaboom! A bolt of lightning as thick as a man's arm shot out like a silver dragon and struck down on Jiang Tian's head. OMG! In order to kill Jiang Tian, the sect master had even used the 5 Thunder Jade Talisman. Finally, the devil is going to die. Many elders and disciples were so excited that tears streamed down their faces as they looked up at the lightning bolt in the sky. Everyone knew that the 5-thunder jade talisman was Swordsman's favorite. A few hundred years ago, an immortal master of the heavenly master sect of the Dragon Tiger Mountain was severely ill and was cured by the sect master of the Shinong school. The heavenly master of the Dragon Tiger Mountain was so grateful that he gave the jade talisman to the sect master. The 5-thunder jade talisman was made of jade that had been struck by lightning during the prehistoric times. It contained a great deal of thunder energy. The jade had been refined by the heavenly master for 60 years, and it had become a jade talisman. During the 60 years, whenever there was a thunderstorm, the heavenly master would use the jade talisman to accumulate energy. The energy contained in the jade talisman was enough to level a small mountain. Jiang Tian was only a transcendent state cultivator. Even if he was an immortal state cultivator or immortal deity, he would still be defeated. In order to protect the foundation of Shinong faction, Headswa even used the 5 Thunders Jade Talisman. The 5 Thunder Jade Talisman was a one-time use Dharma treasure. When the Dharma power was used to trigger the lightning, the Jade Talisman had already turned into ashes. Many disciples could not help but feel sorrow in their hearts. They raised their heads to look at the lightning that was striking down at Jiang Tian. Hot tears rolled down their cheeks. Their bodies trembled as they sobbed. Wow, this lightning bolt is interesting. It is exactly the same as the lightning bolts in nature. Jiang Tian looked up. His hair fluttered in the wind and his handsome face was illuminated by the lightning bolt. The lightning bolt flashed as if the Milky Way was falling from the sky. Jiang Tian's lips curled into a smile. He suddenly shouted, "Use your lightning bolt as a sacrifice to my divine power." In the next moment, Jiang Tian took a step in the air and soared into the sky. He was like a god of war in the sky as he welcomed the lightning. What is he trying to do? Do you want to die? Under the horrified gaze of countless Taoist scriptures, Jiang Tian rose hundreds of meters into the sky and bathed in thunder and lightning. Blue electric sparks flickered around his body, and thunderclaps exploded. Lightning manipulation technique. Jiang Tian bellowed in his heart and gestured with his hands. Chi, chi. Streaks of lightning, like obedient kittens, actually scrambled into the void between Jiang Tian's hands, forming a ball of lightning. The thunderball was as big as a basketball. It was white and bright, shining brightly, illuminating the entire Shinong school. Every blade of grass, every tree, every mountain, and every rock reflected a strong white light, which made people's eyes tear up. Jiang Tian stood proudly 100 meters above the ground, controlling the heavenly lightning. It was as if an ancient deity had descended to the mortal world. How is this possible? Zwazima's eyes widened as if he had seen the most unbelievable thing in the world. What bullshit, Shinong's disciples. They're just a bunch of despicable villains who hide evil intentions. You don't deserve to use Shinong as your signboard. In the void above the main hall, Jiang Tian's shout reverberated across the entire valley, shaking many of the 100 medicine sect's disciples to the verge of collapse. You don't deserve to worship Shinong's statue. Jiang Tian was illuminated by the lightning and emitted a white light, as if an immortal had descended to the mortal world. Before his voice faded, he flipped his hands and pushed the thunderball toward Shinong's statue. Whoosh! Boom! Shinong's statue was blasted into 2 parts from the middle. The upper half of the 100-meter-long body was like a toppling mountain, falling down like a thunderbolt. Boom! The earth quaked and the mountains shook. The entire Shinong school suddenly trembled. The grand hall below was smashed to the point it collapsed, and it transformed into an expanse of broken walls and ruins that had almost been razed to the ground. Smoke and dust billowed and spread hundreds of meters away. Boulders and bricks fell like rain and scattered in all directions on the square in front of the hall. Countless disciples were smashed into meat paste, countless consecrators were thrown off their feet, and countless elders and alchemists vomited blood and fainted from the shock. It was an incomparably shocking scene. Jiang Tian controlled the thunderbolts and condensed them into a thunderball, which broke a gigantic granite statue with a single strike. It was as if Gong Gong had touched the Buzhou mountain, or as if the thunder god had swung down a huge thunderbolt hammer and broke the sky. Is he still a human? Taoist Silvermoon couldn't believe it and was dumbfounded. Who could withstand such a blow if it hit a human body? Shenong's statue is destroyed. I am the sinner of Shenong School. Zhuzimu was in a daze and staggered back. He shook his head and smiled bitterly, his eyes full of despair. Jiang Tian floated down, his white robe spotless like an immortal descending to the mortal world. He leisurely walked towards Zhuzimu as if he was taking a stroll in the park and lightly asked, Zhuzimu, do you submit? Of course. I had never thought that Master Kong could cultivate both Dharma spells and martial arts at the same time. He has reached the transcendent state in martial arts and achieved the Tao body through Dharma spells. Zhuzimu lowered his noble head. Under Jiang Tian's peerless power, his knees gave way and he knelt on the ground. Thunder and lightning were extremely hot, and could even melt iron and turn rocks into ashes. Thunder and lightning were extremely fast, faster than the speed of sound and almost as fast as the speed of light. Thunder and lightning were the fiercest attacks in the world. Even an immortal state cultivator would have to die in the face of thunder and lightning attacks. However, Jiang Tian was not afraid of thunder and lightning. Was he still a human being? He was a demon god. There was only one explanation for this, and that was that Jiang Tian had already attained the immortal Tao body. In ancient times he would be the imperial protector of a country, and even the emperor would have to rely on him. Oh, do you submit? Jiang Tian linked his hands behind his back and looked at the elders, alchemists, and disciples of Shenong School. Yes, we submit. The disciples of Shenong School were scared out of their wits by Jiang Tian's control of thunder and lightning. He really did it. He suppressed the entire Shenong School with one hand. At this moment, Shen Mange looked at Jiang Tian, who was standing proudly and surrounded by people kneeling on the ground. She felt as if she had fallen into a dream and couldn't believe it. When Jiang Tian said that he was going to seek justice, Shen Mange thought that Jiang Tian was just throwing an egg at a rock. However, Jiang Tian was not afraid of the 5 Thunder Jade Talisman of the Celestial Master Sect of Dragon Tiger Mountain. Their Dharma spells were no match for him at all. She could tell that Jiang Tian was as powerful as a veteran grandmaster, or even an immortal state cultivator. If they persisted, the entire Shenong School would be destroyed by Jiang Tian. Zhuzimu was also frightened by the thought. He trembled and begged, Master Kong, please spare our lives for the sake of the Shenong School. Oh, I killed so many of your disciples. Are you going to kill me for revenge? Jiang Tian looked at Zhuzimu and asked curiously. Chapter 111. Zhuzimu shuddered and didn't dare to look into Jiang Tian's eyes. He said in a hoarse voice, Grandmaster Jiang cultivates both magic and martial arts, and his strength is tyrannical. He is invincible even in China. They have eyes but failed to recognize Grandmaster Jiang. They have offended Grandmaster Jiang and died a worthy death. The 5 Thunder Jade Talisman's attack was comparable to the joint attack of more than a dozen transcendent mysterious enlightening masters, but it still could not hurt Jiang Tian. Now that they knew who was stronger and who was weaker, there was no need to fight anymore. Zhuzimu was also a transcendent mysterious enlightening master. He had sharp eyes and profound understanding of Dharma spells. Because of this, he was 10 times more sensitive than ordinary people to notice the huge gap between them. Haha, not bad. You're good. Jiang Tian laughed heartily and then said seriously, but I'm here just for something. I'm not here to fight to the death. What does Master Kong want? Zhuzimu was more than 20 years older than Jiang Tian. Now that he was called a kid by Jiang Tian, he felt a little awkward. But when he thought of Jiang Tian's terrifying strength, he did not dare to fart. So he cupped his fists and asked respectfully, Not yet. Jiang Tian took out some healing elixirs and said, Take these and give them to the injured disciples. Then Jiang Tian began to set the bones, heal the wounds, feed the medicine, and perform acupuncture. He was like a barefoot doctor, doing everything by himself. At this time, people realized that Jiang Tian's medical skills were miraculous. Once they took the elixirs, the wounds healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Broken limbs regrew, bones grew, and flesh grew. Soon the injured people were alive and kicking. Master King's elixirs are comparable to the elixirs of immortality. Amazing! Master Zhang's medical skills simply startle heaven and earth and make ghosts and gods weep. That's right. Even the immortal doctors of the ancient times couldn't compare to this. It was unknown just how many people were sighing in admiration, some even shedding tears of gratitude. Master Kong, I'm truly convinced. Watching his disciples being healed by Jiang Tian, Swazimu fell to his knees and kowtowed deeply. If it was said that Jiang Tian had struck fear into everyone's hearts when he swept through the area, the current Jiang Tian made them revere him from the bottom of their hearts. Previously, he felt that Jiang Tian was like a demon. Now he felt that Jiang Tian was like a god. With one hand, he was invincible and could kill grandmasters and immortal masters as if he were cutting grass. With another hand, he could heal the wounded and heal the dying. Who wouldn't be in awe of such capabilities? Even Shen Mange, Han Yen and the others looked at Jiang Tian with respect and gentleness, as well as gratitude. Late at night, the medicine god hall was brightly lit. Master Kong, what kind of elixirs did you use to save people today? Swazimu asked respectfully. This is the vital energy pill, which replenishes qi and blood. The small recovery pill is used to treat external injuries and poisons. Jiang Tian sat in the armchair on the high platform with his legs crossed. He took out the elixirs and explained. Oh my god, the 9 orifices elixir. It's a real elixir. Swazimu took a closer look and exclaimed. He was more accomplished than Buswanzi in refining elixirs, and he had a better eye for elixirs. At first glance, he knew that these elixirs were many times more powerful and purer than those from Shenong school. It's almost like an elixir, but the effect is just SOSO. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and didn't take it to heart. These elixirs were refined with common herbs on earth. If they were refined with spiritual herbs and spiritual medicines from the cultivation world, the effect would be 10 times better. How are these elixirs refined? Master Kong, can you teach me a thing or two? Swazimu asked timidly like a primary school student in front of his teacher. He was afraid that Jiang Tian wouldn't tell him. It's actually very simple. Jiang Tian casually told him a few prescriptions and refining methods without hiding anything. Even if Swazimu knew the prescriptions and refining methods, without the nourishment of Jiang Tian's genuine essence, he could only achieve 10 to 20% of the effect. Jiang Tian didn't mind teaching him. Amazing. It's amazing. There's such a refining method. Oh, I see. Swazimu was so shocked that he felt that Jiang Tian had opened the door to a new world for him. He had never seen or heard of Jiang Tian's refining methods. They were mysterious and profound. Compared with them, the Shenong school's refining methods were simply rubbish and not worth mentioning. What impressed him even more was that Jiang Tian didn't hide anything and told him everything. How broad-minded and bold he was. After listening to Jiang Tian, Swazimu bowed deeply, clasped his hands in front of his chest, and said earnestly, Grandmaster Jiang, I'm willing to give up my position to you and ask you to become the leader of Shenong sect. If you have any orders, I'll go through water and tread on fire without hesitation. At the bottom of the stairs, Shen Mange and Tang Linglong's beautiful eyes were wide open. They couldn't believe it. The Shenong school had a history of thousands of years. It had a deep foundation, a sea of medicine, a deep abyss of ancient books, and many powerful people. It had friends all over the world. Even 3 or 5 martial arts families couldn't compete with it. However, Master Zhuo was willing to give up his position and let Jiang Tian take over the Shenong school. It was unbelievable. Duke Qiu winked at Jiang Tian, hinting that Jiang Tian should agree. Thank you for your kindness, Master Zhuo. However, I'm a man of the secular world. I have parents, uncles, a wife, and brothers. I'm afraid that I can't do 2 things at the same time. Jiang Tian said calmly. He sipped the real Yinwu tea and smiled faintly. He actually refused. Shen Mange was shocked and petrified on the spot. Master Kong. Duke Qiu was anxious. Taking over the Shenong school was a step to the top. Master Kong, please think about it. However, Master Zhuo and Perfected Silver Moon were anxious and implored him. They didn't want to miss out on a godlike figure like Jiang Tian. As long as Jiang Tian took over the Shenong school, the Shenong school's martial arts, dharma spells, and alchemy arts would reach a new height. It could even compete with the top sects like Shu Mountain, Kunlun, Wudong, and Diansong. In fact, Jiang Tian knew what they were thinking. He smiled faintly. Master Zhua, as long as you lend me the Azure Wood Divine Cauldron, I will teach you all the Dharma spells, martial arts, and Dharma spells. If the Shenong school is in trouble, I won't turn a blind eye to it. Since Master Jiang is useful, our Shenong sect will definitely do our best to help him. How can we refuse? Master Zhua waved his hand without hesitation and shouted, "Give me the Azure Wood Divine Cauldron, and all the precious herbs." The best herbs in the Shenong school were all watered by the Azure Wood Divine Cauldron. To be honest, if he didn't know about Jiang Tian's alchemy skills, he would also hesitate and feel the pinch. However, Jiang Tian's ability to refine elixirs was too strong. He could turn something rotten into something magical. He could refine top-grade elixirs with ordinary Chinese medicine. With Jiang Tian's guidance, the Shenong sect could make up for this loss. Master Kong, please take a look. After a while, Perfected Silver Moon came over with an ancient cauldron. The cauldron was the size of a volleyball. Although it was made of wood, it was very heavy. Engraved with complicated Dharma inscriptions, it carried an ancient aura. It is indeed 1,000-year-old azure wood. Jiang Tian took the cauldron and looked at it. His heart raced. It could definitely be used as a wood element material to set up the 5 elements array. Master Kong, is it useful? Zhuazimu asked nervously. He was afraid that Jiang Tian would be dissatisfied. It's useful. Jiang Tian took the azure wood divine cauldron and praised, Master Zhua, I owe the Shenong school a favor. Of course not. Seeing that Jiang Tian had accepted the cauldron, Zhuazimu smiled and bowed deeply. It is my honor to support Master Kong. Master Kong, why don't you take a look at these herbs? Perfected Silver Moon asked his disciples to line up the boxes on the tea table and bowed. Purple sunflower grass. 300 years old. It's so full of spiritual qi. It can be used to make many bone cleansing pills. Thunder meteorite wood. In prehistoric times, it was struck by lightning and turned into stone instantly. It contains thunder energy and can be used to make thunder magic weapons. Demonic flame stone. I didn't expect there to be demonic flame stone on Earth. If I absorb and refine it, it can help me activate Li Fire Aura and condense flame chi weapons. My combat power can be increased tenfold. Jiang Tian scanned with his divine sense and recognized many cultivation resources. His eyes became more and more excited. In the eyes of the Shenong school, these were just materials for making pills. However, in Jiang Tian's eyes, they were no different from a treasure trove of cultivation. They could help him increase his cultivation and unlock many supernatural powers. At this time, Jiang Tian also had a slight understanding. Earth was not in the age of doom as the martial artist said, and cultivation resources were scarce. In fact, there were many cultivation resources. However, the inheritance of cultivation on Earth had been cut off. These people were like 2-year-old children. Even if they entered a treasure mountain, they could only return empty-handed. This trip to the Shenong school is really worth it. Jiang Tian sighed with satisfaction and asked Tang Linglong to pack everything. By the way, what's the relationship between the Chen family of Jinling and you? Did you lead them to attack the Jiang family? After a while, Jiang Tian suddenly narrowed his eyes and asked coldly, How dare I? The relationship between the Chen family and our sect is estranged. They just want to buy a few prescriptions. Zhuazimu was so scared that he knelt on the ground. Reverend Silvermoon asked, Master Kong, did Chenbo offend your honor? Jiang Tian took a sip of tea in satisfaction. His eyes narrowed slightly as he smiled without saying a word. Shenmenge sternly shouted, Men, bring that bastard Chenbo here. Chenbo was thrown into the room. He lay on the ground and trembled. His face was pale and he begged with a trembling voice, Master Kong, please spare my life. Who are the people behind the 3 big families of Jinling? Jiang Tian asked indifferently. I don't know, I'm just following orders. Everything is arranged by my grandfather. Chenbo said hurriedly. Jiang Tian used his divine sense to search Chenbo's soul and found nothing. He shook his head disappointedly and said, Then you can die now. Master Kong, please spare my life. I can help you find out more information. Chunbo's whole body was trembling like a sieve. Tears and snot flowed down his face as he kowtowed crazily. His head hit the floor fiercely, leaving behind streaks of scarlet blood. He was so scared that he pissed his pants. Chapter 112. I don't need it. Is there any secret in this world that can be hidden from me? Jiang Tian smiled coldly and said with disdain, Master Kong, please spare my life. I'm willing to serve you like a dog or horse. I won't hesitate to go through water and tread on fire. Chunbo wailed as tears streamed down his face. His nose was full of snot, and he no longer looked like a rich young man. When Jiang Tian saw Chunbo, who had been like a noble in his previous life, submit to him like an old dog, he felt extremely happy in his heart. He murmured to himself, in my past life, you framed the Medicine King group and ruined their financial chain. You also caused the death of my parents. In this life, I will use your blood to wash away my humiliation and pay tribute to the souls of those who died unjustly. Jiang Tian's eyes reddened as he thought of his parents' wrongful deaths. He waved his hand and said, Kill him. Bang. Swordsmanship stepped forward and smacked Chunbo on the head. Chunbo's brain was crushed and he died on the spot. Drag him out and feed him to the dogs. Jiang Tian's lips curled into a vicious grin as he waved his hand. A disciple dragged Chunbo's body out of the room. As for how the Shinnong sect would explain to the Chun family, they naturally had their own way, and Jiang Tian didn't care about it. In fact, the Shinnong school didn't even need to answer to the Chun family. The Chun family was nothing compared to the Shinnong school. Master Kong, Han Yener from the Han family and Mai Shilong from the Mai family are here to see you. The Silver Moon Taoist said with a smile. Let them in. Jiang Tian also had an indifferent attitude. Besides, he still had a few words to instruct them. Han Yener and Mai Shilong greet Master Kong. Han Yener and Mai Shilong came in trembling. They knelt down together and bowed their heads. In Zhonghai, a large international city, they were considered as rich heirs and heiresses. They could do whatever they wanted and call the shots. However, at this moment when he saw Jiang Tian, he was so scared that he kept quiet out of fear, not even daring to breathe loudly. Han Yener's face was pale and her heart raced. She didn't even dare to look at Jiang Tian. Why do you want to see me? Jiang Tian crossed his legs and sipped his tea contentedly. His face was calm and at ease. He was already the master of Shinnong School. Master Kong, please forgive us for our previous disrespect. Mai Shilong said in a trembling voice. He would never forget the scene of Jiang Tian rising 100 meters into the air, controlling thunder and lightning, and destroying Shinnong's stone statue with a thunderball. Those terrifying scenes had already been deeply imprinted in his mind, causing his heart to palpitate and making him revere Jiang Tian like a demon god. Oh, it's all right. If there's nothing else, you can leave. Jiang Tian waved his hand indifferently. The two looked at each other and stood up carefully. Han Yener took a deep breath and said, Yener has a presumptuous request. What is it? Han Yener hesitated for a moment, then gritted her teeth and said, My father has Lou Gehrig's disease. I would like to ask Master Kong to give me a pill. Oh, that's easy. A fire spiritual pill. Here you go. A pill rolled in front of Han Yener. She kowtowed and said gratefully, Master Kong, if you come to Zhonghai, the Han family will treat you like a VIP. So will the Mai family. Mai Shilong quickly added. All right, cut the crap. Jiang Tian said lightly. Don't say a word about what you have seen in the past few days. Otherwise, I will kill your entire family. We would never dare. Mai Shilong and Han Yener were so scared that they knelt on the ground again. For the rest of the week, Jiang Tian first used jade stones and strange wood to set up a small, spirit-drawing array, which could gather the spirit veins and earth chi. The effect was the same as the greenwood divine cauldron, and the spirit chi was even more vigorous. This way, even if the Shinnong school gave the azure wood divine cauldron to Jiang Tian, the valley could still produce the best herbs. After that, under the pleading of Zwazimu and perfected Silver Moon, Jiang Tian gave a lecture at the Shinnong school. He taught them martial arts, dharma spells and alchemy. At this time, Not to mention the excellent disciples like Shen Mange, even Zhuazimu and perfected Silver Moon were listening to the lecture like obedient students. As soon as Jiang Tian opened his mouth, these elders, alchemists, and elite disciples of the Shenong sect were suddenly enlightened. They listened to him with great interest, and were intoxicated. The 9 forms of Shenong was said to be a martial arts cultivation method passed down from Shenong, one of the ancestors of mankind. However, it was incomplete, so the disciples of the Shenong school had given up on it and switched to other cultivation methods. With just one look, Jiang Tian added and perfected it. Jiang Tian described it in an extravagant manner. He spoke tirelessly, from simple to complex, and from profound to profound. The profound meaning that came out of his mouth made everyone's heart soar. The 100-herb scripture of Divine Farmer was the basic ancient book of the Shenong sect's medicine making and alchemy refining. It had also been reinterpreted and interpreted by Jiang Tian, turning something rotten into something magical. It allowed everyone to gain a lot, and their alchemy level improved rapidly. When Jiang Tian finished talking about these profound meanings, everyone was stunned and couldn't come back to their senses for a long time. The ancient sages and immortals' lectures are just as so. When Shen Mange came back to her senses, she suddenly shivered and looked at Jiang Tian in disbelief. After listening to Jiang Tian's explanation, she suddenly felt that her understanding of martial arts and alchemy was very shallow. Under Jiang Tian's interpretation, all the ancient books were full of vitality. Even Zhuazimu was not as profound as Jiang Tian. How could such a young man in his early 20s understand so deeply? It was incredible. The lost inheritance of the Shenong school has been continued by Master Kong. It will definitely rise again. With the guidance of Master Jiang, our Shenong school will definitely soar to the sky, soar to the sky. Zhuazimu and Reverend Silver Moon hugged each other and cried. They were so excited that they almost fainted. After the lecture, although Zhuazimu and Reverend Silver Moon tried to persuade him to stay, Jiang Tian was still eager to go home. 10 days ago, Jiang Tian came empty-handed, but when he left, he returned with a full load. Many spirit herbs and cultivation resources were packed into a few big boxes, enough for him to break through again and unlock a few more divine powers. More importantly, he also got the azure wood divine cauldron. Now he only needed to find the earth element to set up the 5 elements gathering array. Master Kong, I want to be your servant. I wonder if you are still willing to accept me, Master Kong. Just as they were about to leave, Shen Mange walked over from the entrance of the valley. She blushed and said bashfully. She was the descendant of the Shen family in Yanjin, and the first disciple of the Shenong school. She was spoiled by the sect leader and the elders. No one dared to disobey her. However, at this moment, she was begging Jiang Tian, which made her feel embarrassed and humiliated. Humph, I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Jiang Tian snorted and waved his sleeves. Isn't it a bit late now? Master Kong, please accept me. Thinking of Jiang Tian's miraculous martial arts, magic arts and alchemy skills, Shen Mange's heart was burning. In a hurry, she actually knelt down in front of Jiang Tian. Did your master agree? Jiang Tian looked at Zhuazimu. Zhuazimu quickly bowed and said sincerely, Master Kong, how could I stop her? If you are willing to accept her, it will be her blessing, and also the blessing of the Shenong school. Oh, okay. Jiang Tian nodded and stood with his hands behind his back. He deliberately mocked her and said, From now on you are my slave and I am your master. You actually want me to be your slave, this slave? Shen Mange's face turned red. A sense of humiliation welled up spontaneously. Mange, why do you care about these words? They are the same in essence. Yes. As long as you can follow Master Kong, it will be enough. Kowtow and thank him. Zhuazimu and Reverend Silvermoon were so anxious that they stomped their feet. They were afraid that Jiang Tian would not accept her if he was unhappy. Master, thank you for accepting me. Shen Mange blushed, and the crimson color spread to her neck and ears. Her crystal earlobes looked as if they were about to bleed. But when she shouted out those words and kowtowed, she felt the pain of being conquered. She was inwardly amazed. Do I subconsciously like to be abused and have always been eager to be conquered by such a strong master? Get up. Hearing Jiang Tian's words, Shinmange hurriedly got up and pulled Tang Linglong's arm. She said sweetly, "Senior sister, you must be tired from the journey. I'll drive on the road." "Why are you trying to get close to me? You can't mess up the seniority and status. Remember, you are my slave. You are not qualified to be my disciple. You don't deserve to be called senior." Before Tang Linglong could say anything, Jiang Tian's words hit Shinmange so hard that she burst into tears. Hangkou Hong family mansion. Hong Tianzhao's coffin was placed in the mourning hall. Countless family members and children were crying and wailing. The mournful music and cries shook the sky. The whole mansion was filled with mournful and somber atmosphere. In the meeting hall, the senior members of the Hong family were present. They were holding a family meeting. Among them were several chairmen of listed companies. There was also no lack of internal force and iron body martial arts masters. Hong Junshan, the previous head of the Hong family and Hong Tianzhao's biological father, was at the peak of internal force and was also a martial arts master. Originally, he was already 70 years old. He had white hair and a youthful complexion. He was hale and hearty, smiling all day long. However, at this moment, he was sitting high up in the hall. His face was full of sorrow and decadence. It was as if all his energy had been sucked out. However, deep in his eyes, there was a hint of killing intent. A white-haired person sending off a black-haired person. How sad and desperate was this? "We must take revenge. Kong Taichu, it's fine if you want to be arrogant in Linzhou, but how dare you bully our Hong family?" Hong Junshan said fiercely. "In the family, all the masters above the peak of iron body go to Linzhou. We must tear Kong Taichu into pieces. Kill Kong Taichu. Show the power of the Hong family." Hong Tianzhao's son, Hong Hichu, who had already reached the mid-stage of iron body, shouted with tears in his eyes. "Kill Kong Taichu. Show the power of the Hong family." An army filled with righteous indignation was bound to win. At this moment, countless members of the Hong family raised their arms and cheered. "Old master, something bad has happened." Suddenly, a member of the Hong family rushed into the room. "Luoshui, what made you so nervous?" Hong Junshan furrowed his brows. This was the grandson of his eldest son. He was quite talented. 3 years ago he entered Shinnong school to cultivate. Now he had already achieved initial success in his internal force cultivation. He had always been calm and steady. The Shinnong school was defeated by Kong Taichu, Zhang Aonian, Wei Bufan, and dozens of transcendent state martial artists were killed by Kong Taichu. Hong Luoshui fell to the ground and said in a trembling voice, "What did you say?" Hong Junshan couldn't believe it. He was completely petrified as if he had been struck by lightning. Chapter 113. Perfected Cultivator Silver Moon was severely injured and was almost killed by Kong Taichu's chi weapon. Masters Wu took out the 5 Thunder Jade talisman given to him by the Celestial Master sect of Longhu Mountain and shot out a 12-meter-long thunderbolts. However, Jiang Taichu soared into the sky while bathing in the thunderbolts. He controlled the thunderbolts and smashed the 20-meter-tall Shinnong statue. Zhuazimu knelt and admitted defeat. Hong Luoshui trembled in fear as she recalled the horrifying battle that day. Her face turned pale. He could even defeat perfected Cultivator Silver Moon and Zhuazimu. He could even withstand the 5 Thunder Jade talisman. Hong Junshan's face paled as if he had seen a ghost in broad daylight. He said in a trembling voice, "He is a Dharma cultivator." Yes. Sect leaders will also said that he had achieved Dao body and Dharma spells, and was as good as a grandmaster in martial arts. He could even be called an elixir king or elixir king. Hong Luoshui's words silenced the crowd. Everyone was petrified and could not believe what they had just heard. Hong Junshan's face changed rapidly. After a while he heaved a sigh and said, "His Dao body is as good as a perfected cultivator, his martial arts is as good as a grandmaster, and he is also an expert in alchemy. We can't afford to offend someone like him." "Grandpa, what are you talking about? Could it be that my father died just like that?" Hong Hichu was a hot-tempered man. His face flushed red as he shouted at the top of his lungs. "Shut up. Don't you know how to keep a low profile? Hong Junshan slammed the table and scanned the room with his dignified eyes. He said coldly, "From now on, whoever dares to provoke Kong Taechu and bring disaster to the Hong family will be killed without mercy." Everyone in the Hong family was dejected after hearing Hong Junshan's words. Despair and helplessness were written all over their faces. Not only that, the Tang sect of Shu province and the Chap Gua fist of Zhongzhou had also received the news. "Have you heard? There is a martial arts grandmaster in Linzhou. I heard that he is only in his 20s. Bullshit. A martial arts grandmaster is a transcendent state cultivator. No one can reach that level before 40. Why would I lie to you? He killed Hong Tianzhao, the transcendent grandmaster of the Hong family in Hankow." What? Hong Tianzhao had been in the transcendent state for more than 10 years, but he was killed by him. Who is he? Linzhou Kong Taechu. Jiang Tian returned as a cultivator. In just 3 months, he had swept through half of Wuxia in an almost invincible manner. From a nobody, he had become a legend, the youngest grandmaster. A few days later, another earth-shattering piece of news came. The Huaxiaolong formation had rated Jiang Tian as one of the top 20 grandmasters in Wuxia. Immediately, Kong Taechu's name spread throughout the world. Singapore Gua family residence. This mansion was located in the heart of Singapore, where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. However, it occupied an area of 500 to 600 acres as if it was free. The 4-lane asphalt road, the endless lawn, and the rippling water of the man-made lake were all a testament to the immense wealth of the Gua family. The Gua family was one of the top 20 families in the world. Their net worth was in the hundreds of billions of new dollars. Their businesses were in luxury hotels, shipping, energy, telecommunications, and many other industries. Only with such wealth could they occupy such a large mansion. In a magnificent office, the current head of the Gua family, Gua Junfeng, sat in the middle of the room. A large group of middle-aged men in their 40s were watching a video. The video was sent from Wuxia to Linzhou. It was the footage of the battle between Jiang Tian and Xing Shanhu. The entire meeting room was silent and the atmosphere was heavy. The video was short. 5 minutes later, Gua Junfeng ended the video. He looked at Gua Lily, who was weeping silently in the corner of the meeting room. "Lily, don't cry. It seems like you didn't get the life crystal from him. That's understandable." As the eldest son of the Gua family's second generation, Gua Junfeng was 45 years old. Due to his father's illness, he was already in charge of the family. His nose was straight, his mouth was square, and his face was flushed red. He had an extraordinary presence and a powerful aura. "Now I believe you. You might have met the monster. He might have killed the white ape with a single slash." He glanced at Gua Lily, his fingers tapping rhythmically on the table as he asked, "What do you think about the life crystals and Jiang Tian?" "Brother, only the life crystal can cure father's strange illness." A middle-aged man said, "This Jiang Tian is strong, but we have to get him back." "That's right. Have you ever thought about it? If he can even subdue an expert from the Big Circle gang, who else can do it?" An old man wearing a Tang suit asked. He was the younger brother of the previous head of the Gua family, and also Gua Junfeng's second uncle. He was a senior figure, and held a lot of weight in the family. Everyone was silent. They already knew how strong Jiang Tian was. No ordinary person could compare to him. Suddenly, Gua Junfeng sighed and said with a complicated expression, "Looks like we have to ask Master Wang Chongyan for help this time. If he is willing to help, then Jiang Tian is definitely no match for him. He is one of the top 5 grandmasters in the Chinese world." Hearing this, even second uncle revealed a look of reverence and adoration. He sighed deeply. Who is Wang Chongyan? Many of the younger generation were confused. Wang Chongyan, a veteran grandmaster. He has been famous since the Republic of China. He was once the chief instructor of Jiang Gong's bodyguards. The second uncle sighed. "When I went to Southeast Asia with my brother, he was already like a living god. He was on the same level as Huang Jinrong, Du Yuexing, and Zhang Xiaolin. The Blue Cloth Society that he established is able to suppress the Green Gang and the Han Gang. It is the intelligence organization that Jiang Gong values the most. The number of disciples under it is as many as the clouds. and the number of experts are as many as the trees in the forest. Even the military commander, Boss Daili, is somewhat wary of it. Years ago, he lost to Yi Tianren and withdrew from Wuxia. You might not have heard of Yi Tianren, but you might have heard of another person. He sighed. Who? Yi Zhantian. The most powerful man in China, Yi Zhantian, the leader of the dragon group, is Yi Tianren's son. Second uncle seemed to be immersed in deep memories. He sighed and said, after the Battle of the River Crossing, Yi Tianren, the most powerful martial artist in Yan'an, went south to stabilize the power of the people. With a sword in his hand, he wiped out the Hong sect, the Blue Cloth Society, and the Green Gang. Even Wang Chongyan lost to him. That was why he fled to Southeast Asia. Is Wang Chongyan in Singapore? Is our family related to him? Someone asked. Wang Chongyan is in Singapore. He formed the Chinese Society of Singapore. Many of the evil arts experts in Southeast Asia were recruited by him. The second uncle sighed. He is the guardian of Singapore. Otherwise, the Great Circle would have taken over Singapore a long time ago. The 5 most powerful Chinese families in Singapore follow his lead. Every year during the Spring Festival, we have to bow to him 3 times and 9 times. The second uncle said. Plus, no matter who the president of Singapore is, he has to give his approval first. Doesn't that mean he is like an emperor? Everyone asked incredulously. The Guo family was the most powerful family in Singapore. Many of them were members of the parliament or the speaker of the parliament. Therefore, they were well informed. However, this was the first time they had heard of such a secret. Second uncle, we are too young. I am afraid that he will only listen to your request. Guo Junfeng sighed. Okay. The second uncle nodded and picked up the antique phone. He shook it a few times and dialed a string of numbers. After a while, the second uncle heaved a sigh. Wang Chongyan is in seclusion. He said that a transcendent martial artist is not worth his time. Everyone was filled with despair and helplessness. However, the second uncle cracked a smile and said, however, he has agreed to let Bong of Kuan Tian from the Chinese Society of Singapore help him. And Meng Kong, the ancient Muay Thai master. He is the evil sorcery master who can fly down, raise Kumanthong, and control ghosts. Guo Lily exclaimed. Her face was filled with shock, but there was a hint of excitement in the depth of her eyes. Bong of Kuan Tian was a name that everyone in Singapore had heard of. Countless dignitaries and tycoons treated him as a guest of honor. Legend had it that he was an eminent monk from Thailand. His flying technique could take a person's life from 100 meters away. The Kumanthong he raised could bring luck and happiness. The infatuation gu could make the prodigal son wake up and become obsessed with love for the rest of his life. Guo Junfeng let out a proud smile and said confidently, Bong of Kuan Tian is from Thailand. He is one of the top 3 evil sorcery masters in Southeast Asia. Even though Jiang Tian is a martial artist, he is still immortal. He is no match for Bong of Kuan Tian. He pointed at Guo Lily and said with a smile, Lily, you are the one who found out about Jiang Tian. Besides, you have been to Linzhou many times. You will accompany Bong of Kuan Tian this time. Yes, father. I will not disappoint you this time. I will return with a full load and cure Grandpa as soon as possible. Guo Lily stood up and clenched her fists to show her loyalty. However, she was furious in her heart. Jiang Tian, oh Jiang Tian, you've been disrespectful to me time and time again. This time, you have 2 experts accompanying me. See if I don't tear you to pieces. You will be so scared that you will kneel and beg for mercy. In the 20 days that Jiang Tian had been gone, Zhao Xueqing had been longing for Jiang Tian's return. You bastard, you went out for more than half a month. Do you still have me in your heart? Do you think you can bribe me by sending some specialties back? Humph. I will not be bribed so easily. When you come back, I will spank your ass. Sometimes, she would grit her teeth and brandish her claws. TSK, he will definitely like this new dish that I just learned. I wonder how he will praise me when I come back. Sometimes, her heart was filled with anticipation, longing and tenderness. He is so funny. He forced Yang Guochang to kneel just because he offended me. He can't bear to see me suffer even a little bit. How much does he love me? He is really an idiot. He is selling his blood and still wants to make me a bracelet. No matter if you can control lightning or hurt people from a distance, you will always be a lunatic in my heart. You are the idiot who treats me like a treasure. Most of the time, she rested her chin on her hand and thought of the beautiful past. She was in a daze and shed tears. With a creak, the door opened. Zhao Xueqing stood up, only to see a figure appearing at the door. If it wasn't Jiang Tian, who else could it be? Chapter 114. Jiang Tian, you're finally back. Zhao Xueqing stood up and walked to Jiang Tian's side. She touched his cheek and said with a pained expression, "Look, you're tanned. Was the journey tiring?" Tears rolled down her cheeks, and she forgot to wipe them. She just looked at Jiang Tian lovingly, at the face that she missed so much. "Haha, it's okay. I'll just take it as a vacation." Jiang Tian smiled faintly and wiped away her tears. At this moment, Zhao Xueqing realized that there was a beautiful woman following behind Jiang Tian. She was tall and slender, with exquisite curves. Her skin was smooth and creamy. She had a beautiful face without any makeup, but it was still as beautiful as the morning sun reflecting the snow. Who is she? Zhao Xueqing opened her mouth and realized that her voice was trembling badly. Her heart was in her mouth and it was so tight that it was difficult for her to breathe. Her pretty face was already pale. Jiang Tian used to be a playboy. He hung around bars and nightclubs all day and hooked up with countless women. Now Jiang Tian's martial arts were shocking and his abilities were extraordinary. Many rich people submitted to him. It was natural for him to have multiple wives and concubines. How could she stop him? "Oh, this is our maid. You can think of her as a maid or a bodyguard. Her name is Shenmenge." Jiang Tian smiled gently, then turned to glare at Shenmenge and said, "Come and greet me. This is my wife. You have to greet me every day and kowtow 3 times and 9 times. If you dare to disrespect me, I won't forgive you. There's actually such a beautiful woman in this world. She's like an immortal." Shenmenge was proud of her beauty, but when she saw Zhao Xueqing, she realized that she was slightly inferior to her. She gasped in admiration. Her features were picturesque, and her temperament was ethereal. She had a kind of refined aura, like a fairy from the 9th heaven. She seemed to be an otherworldly person. At this moment, she also understood why Jiang Tian kept thinking about her when they were in Hangkou and Shinong school. She couldn't help but be envious and jealous. Maid Mange greets mistress. At this moment, after hearing Jiang Tian's scolding, Shenmenge came back to her senses. She was so scared that her delicate body trembled. Then she walked to Zhao Xueqing and kowtowed 9 times respectfully. She is our maid?" Zhao Xueqing was deeply shocked. Shenmenge's body exuded a noble aura that could only be cultivated by a rich and powerful family. It couldn't be faked, but at this moment, she actually knelt down in front of her and called her mistress. But because of this, Zhao Xueqing also let down her guard and felt relieved. She quickly helped Shenmenge up and said with a smile, "Sister Mange, please get up. Don't listen to Jiang Tian. In the future, we can call each other sisters. There's no need to be so polite." Shenmenge was distressed. The etiquette was even stricter than in the sect. Hearing this, she couldn't help but have a good impression of Zhao Xueqing. She thought that she was much easier to get along with than her master, the Devil King. She looked at Jiang Tian again, as if asking for his opinion. Jiang Tian waved his hand indifferently and said, "In our family, mistress is the most important. Whatever she says goes. If she says you don't need to kneel, then you don't need to kneel." "Yes, mistress. I understand." Shenmenge was speechless. She secretly despised him. "You are so arrogant outside, but I didn't expect that you are also a henpecked husband at home." She was letting her imagination run wild. Suddenly, Jiang Tian pointed at her and said, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and cook." Yes. I'll go now." Shenmenge wanted to cry but had no tears. She quickly went into the kitchen and got busy. "Jiang Tian, you should be more polite to her. A maid is also a person." Zhao Xueqing rebuked Jiang Tian and followed him in. She whispered, "No, let me do it. I learned 2 new dishes." "Oh, okay. I'll help you pick the vegetables." Seeing this, Shenmenge didn't dare to steal the limelight. She quickly gave up the position of the chef and just helped. After a while, the two girls worked together to cook the dishes. When the dishes were served, Jiang Tian and Zhao Xueqing chatted while eating. Mange, your cooking skills are too bad. Jiang Tian took a bite of the steamed base. His face was as cold as frost. He reprimanded her with cold eyes. It's simply unappetizing. With your standard, you won't be able to get married. In the future, you will have to go to New Oriental to study. Shenmenge smiled awkwardly and didn't dare to defend herself. Zhao Xueqing's face darkened. She pouted and said, Jiang Tian, these dishes were all cooked by me. Sister Mange only helped me pick the vegetables, wash them and cut them. Oh, is that so? Jiang Tian was thinking about the array before, so he didn't pay attention to this. When he heard this, he suddenly realized that he had made a mistake. He was so scared that his face turned pale. He quickly smiled and said, I'm talking about your knife skills. Well, your knife skills are too bad. You stir-fried it well, very well. It's salty and light, and the heat control is subtle. You're almost as good as a 5-star Michelin chef. Zhao Xueqing pulled a long face and didn't say anything. It was unknown whether she was dissatisfied with Jiang Tian's comments or worried about her cooking skills. Delicious. Delicious. Jiang Tian took big bites of the food and proved his conclusion with practical actions. He said pitifully, Qinger, don't be angry. I'll wash the dishes later, okay? Haha, great Demon King, I didn't expect you to have such a day. Shenmenge held back her laughter and gloated. Jiang Tian quickly changed the topic and talked about what he had seen and heard these days. He bragged and exaggerated as much as he could. Finally, Zhao Xueqing became concerned and asked questions from time to time. After dinner, Zhao Xueqing wanted to tidy up Shenmenge's room. Jiang Tian waved his hand and said, How can she stay here? She's disturbing our private time. Let her go to King's #1 mansion. After Ghost Kick took Shenmenge away, Zhao Xueqing laughed and said, Can you bear to let such a beauty go? Can't she stay and be your servant to warm your feet? Cough cough. Jiang Tian, who was drinking tea, was so shocked that he spat out a mouthful of water. He almost choked to death. His face turned red as he waved his hand and said, Xueqing, what are you talking about? What beauty! In my eyes, she's not even comparable to a strand of your hair. White ape demonic core, ice crystal, heptagold iron essence, greenwood divine cauldron. He only lacked the earth element. However, Jiang Tian understood the principle of working on two fronts at the same time. Naturally, he wouldn't give up looking for the earth element materials. However, he also had to start looking for some supplementary materials. The next day, Jiang Tian summoned Tang Wanyan, Yi Gufeng, Dragon Fifth, Xuemingyi, and the other tycoons of Jiangbei to the Crouching Dragon Villa. He asked them to gather some supplementary materials. Thousand Silk Attraction, Yama Vines, Gloomy Wood, Mystic Earth, 5-colored Buddha Clay, Chalcedony. Jiang Tian made a long list. It would cost at least 200 to 300 million to gather all of these materials, not to mention the manpower and the information cost. Master Kong, don't worry. We will turn Wuxia upside down. If we find nothing, we will bring our heads to you. Tang Wanyan slapped his chest and swore. He couldn't help but think of Elder Tang's evaluation of Jiang Tian. Yesterday, Tang Linglong returned to the Tang family and reported everything that happened during Jiang Tian's trip to Shinong School. After listening to the report, Elder Tang was stunned. He pondered for a long time and finally said something shocking. Master Kong is a cultivator of both martial arts and Dharma spells. He has made rapid progress. He can even beat Shinong School. In 10 years, Master Kong will be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with Yi Zhantian of the Huaxia Long Formation. Thinking of his father's words, Tang Wanyan felt as if he had been injected with chicken blood. If Master Kong could stand shoulder to shoulder with Yi Zhantian, then as his lackey he would be able to soar to the sky. As the saying goes, when a man achieves the Tao, even his chickens and dogs will ascend to the sky. If Master Kong achieves the Tao, then I will be the lackey. The other tycoons also agreed to meet Jiang Tian's request even if they had to spend all their wealth. This time you have a great chance. Jiang Tian sat in the armchair with his legs crossed. His face was calm and relaxed. These materials are not as rare as the 5 elements. I should be able to find them. As he spoke, he sighed and smiled wryly. It's just that the earth element material is hard to come by. The material must be able to trigger the aura of the earth veins thousands of miles away. It must be Xianhuang thick earth. At this time, the feng shui Master Qi was suddenly stunned. Then he stood up and said excitedly, Master Jiang, I've heard of a magic weapon called the mysterious yellow clay jar. Where did you hear of it? What does it look like? Jiang Tian was a little interested and asked indifferently. Master Qi quickly bowed and said, Master Kong, I am actually a disciple of Su Majai, the great feng shui master of Hong Kong. According to seniority, I am his disciple's grandson. Oh, I didn't expect you to have such a big background. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. I wouldn't dare. I've embarrassed myself in front of Grandmaster Jiang. Master Qi hurriedly said, 10 years ago, when Hong Kong returned to China, the Wei family of Yangcheng and several other major families of Hong Kong were fighting over several major ports and shipping routes in Hong Kong. Both sides were in a fierce fight and suffered heavy casualties. Later, Hong Kong asked Su Majai to cast a spell to suppress the Wei family. Later, Wei Shuofeng fought with Su Majai on the peak of Jiulong Mountain for 3 days. Master Qi's face was filled with shock and fascination. He could not forget the battle that day. That battle caused the Jiulong Mountain to crumble, and the earth to crack. The sound of the battle shook the central ring 10 miles away. A hurricane blew and thunder fell from the sky. The entire Hong Kong was shaken. After 3 days of battle, the two of them were evenly matched. There was no clear winner. Instead, they appreciated each other. At the last moment, Su Majai used the finger array's most powerful finger combo technique, while Wei Shuofeng took out the mystic yellow clay jar, stirring up the mystic yellow earth qi within dozens of kilometers of Nine Dragon Mountain. The mountain range rose and fell like an earth dragon. The black-yellow earth qi formed a 10-meter-long earth qi azure dragon. It rushed down and broke Su Majai's 10-finger combo kill. After that battle, Su Majai spat out a mouthful of blood. I don't know how serious his injury was, but he started to cultivate in seclusion on Lantau Island. He hasn't shown up since 10 years ago. But after the battle, Su Majai once commented that Wei Shuofeng was the best in the world when it came to earth element attacks. Hearing this, Jiang Tian was a little tempted. He asked lightly, Do you have any photos or videos? The Hong Kong police station strictly forbade any photos or videos. However, a reporter used a high-powered SLR camera to take a picture, but it was a bit blurry. Master Qi hurriedly presented a photo. Is this an immortal? Everyone gathered behind Jiang Tian and poked their heads out to take a look. They were instantly shocked. On the peak of Jiulong Mountain, a blurry figure stood 100 meters high in the air, holding something in his hand. Between the sky and the earth, there was a bleak yellow color. The Xianhuang earth qi formed a giant dragon, emitting rays of golden light as it circled behind the figure. Jiang Tian's eyes lit up, and then he let out a long sigh. Alas, to be able to draw upon Xianhuang earth energy, this should be the jar that I need. Chapter 115. Everyone looked at each other and remained silent for a long time. Why are you hesitating? You don't want to spend money? Tang Wanyan slapped his thigh and said, Since it's in the hands of the Wei family, we will buy it for Master Kong no matter how much it costs. Yi Gufeng rolled his eyes at him and said, Idiot! The Wei family is a century-old family. They are even richer than you and me. Do you think they lack money? Master Feng is right. Master Qi nodded and said, Moreover, this jar is a family heirloom of the Wei family. It has been with Wei Shuofeng for decades. I'm afraid that it has become his natal dermic artifact. He will never sell it. What is a natal dermic artifact? Everyone was confused. A natal dermic artifact is a dermic artifact that has been refined with a secret method and formed a blood connection with its owner. Master Qi said, This way, the dermic artifact and its owner are connected as if it has a spirit. Once activated, the dermic artifact will act like an extension of the body. But at the same time, there is a huge drawback. What is it? Everyone asked. Master Qi said seriously. Once the owner loses the dermic artifact, his body and lifespan will be damaged. In short, if one loses, all loses. Under such circumstances, why would the Wei clan sell the jar to us? Everyone came to a realization. Then we will take it. Zhou Jinghao slammed the table and said evilly, I will go overseas and find a few assassins and mercenaries. Bang, 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 bang. We will destroy the Wei family. I told you that the Wei family has a strong foundation of spells, and even ethereal enlightenment experts. You are courting death. Dragon Fifth rolled his eyes at him and almost scolded him for being brainless. Zhou Jinghao was anxious. He pulled his hair and said, What should we do? We can't buy it and we can't beat them. Alright, the meeting is over. Let's end it here. Jiang Tian waved his hand and walked out of the door. You only need to do one thing. Investigate all the core members of the Wei family and give it to me. He looked up at the starry sky, and the corners of his mouth curved into a mocking smile. His eyes were deep, and no one knew what he was thinking. Ever since Zhao Xueqing became the chairman of the Zhao Pharmaceutical Company, she had cut off all the products in the past month. According to Jiang Tian's design, she had built 3 new production lines and focused on making the muscle-nourishing ointment. As soon as this medicine was introduced to the market, it swept through the entire market like a hurricane. The price was not considered expensive, but the efficacy was amazing. Any skin lesions such as poisonous sores, ulcers, stubborn spots, and so on, as long as the ointment was applied, after a course of treatment, the skin would be completely healed, as if it had been reborn. Chairman, there's another big order. Our production line can't keep up. Assistant Zhou Liwen walked into the office, panting. These days, orders were flying in like snowflakes, and the delivery time was a year later. The assets of the Zhao Pharmaceutical Company were also expanding rapidly. There were already more than 1 billion yuan in the account. Husband, let's expand the production line. After Zhou Liwen left, Zhao Xueqing glanced at Jiang Tian and couldn't hide her smile. In this 1 month, she had pushed the Zhao Pharmaceutical Company to a height that she had never dared to imagine before. Then again, she also knew that her management ability wasn't outstanding. In the end, it was because Jiang Tian's improved prescription was too magical. Zhao Xueqing had already adapted to her identity as the chairman. She wore a professional suit that accentuated her curves. The 8 blessings necklace that Jiang Tian gave her hung on her neck. It reflected a dazzling light that made her face glow, making her look even more radiant. She was capable and elegant. Her face was radiant, and she looked like a strong woman in the workplace. No need. Jiang Tian sat on the sofa and put down a Chinese medicine book. The Medicine King Group's products aren't selling well, and the production line might be idle. We'll use their production line. These days, when he was free, he would accompany Zhao Xueqing in the company, and even participate in some business activities. In order to be legitimate, Jiang Tian had a nominal position as the chairman's assistant in the company. As for the real relationship between the two, it was still unknown. Okay, then I'll call Mom. Zhao Xueqing quickly dialed Zhang Wanqing's number. When the call was connected, Zhao Xueqing smiled. Mom, I have a product that's selling well, but the production line isn't enough. I want to use the Medicine King Group's production line. Which product? Zhang Wanqing asked in disbelief. To put it bluntly, the Zhao Pharmaceutical Company was half dead, and the production line could only be considered half operational. Since when did they need to expand the production line? The muscle-nourishing plaster. What? That product is selling well, and it's actually yours? Where did you get these secret recipes? Jiang Tian made it. Zhao Xueqing was overjoyed. Mom, don't you know? Tisk, how can I not know his level in medicine? Zhang Wanqing didn't believe her at all. She smiled. Qing'er, don't flatter him. It's more like what you've researched. She checked the patent registration and smiled. Moreover, the patent holder is also in your name. Io. Mom, it's really Jiang Tian's invention. He didn't want to show his face in public, so he had to register it under my name. Zhao Xueqing didn't know how to explain. Hearing this, Jiang Tian also looked helpless. It seemed that his mother still couldn't change her opinion of him. Well, let's not dwell on this issue. Zhang Wanqing smiled. My production line is also half operational. There's no problem at all if you use it for production. I will also strictly control the product quality. Thank you, Mom. The outsourcing fee will be calculated according to the market price. I'll pass the production process to you right away. Zhao Xueqing smiled sweetly. What are you thanking me for? In fact, you've solved Mom's urgent problem. Zhang Wanqing said. The two discussed some more details. Zhao Xueqing hung up the phone and hugged Jiang Tian. She smiled and said, Hubby, you're amazing. This product is simply earth-shattering. She deeply understood the value of Jiang Tian's prescription. A small Dianin Baiyao, whose effect was far inferior to the muscle-nourishing ointment, had a market value of tens of billions. 5 or 10 years later, if Zhao's pharmaceutical company was listed, it would probably be able to suppress Dianin Baiyao. Hee, this is nothing. There will be better prescriptions later. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. The muscle-nourishing ointment was just an unintentional improvement. He had been cultivating for thousands of years, and the elixir prescriptions in his hands were countless. The muscle-nourishing ointment was just a low-end prescription. If he really took out his trump card prescription, he was afraid that it would sweep Wuxia and shock the world. Even those pharmaceutical giants would have to admit that they were inferior. Hubby, you're simply amazing. Zhao Xueqing kissed Jiang Tian and smiled sweetly. Oh, little girl, you actually took advantage of me. No, I have to pay you back. Jiang Tian hugged his wife as if she was a warm and fragrant jade. His heart was filled with satisfaction. You took advantage of me, and yet you're still acting innocent. No, I won't let you kiss me. Chairman. At that moment, Zhou Liwen knocked on the door and entered. Zhao Xueqing quickly got up from Jiang Tian's embrace. Her face was flushed red as she asked, What's the matter? Zhou Liwen looked at Jiang Tian in surprise. Why did the chairman seem to be sitting in his embrace? Didn't this guy just resign from the public relations department and become Zhao Xueqing's assistant? Could it be that the chairman has a male pet? It was inappropriate for her to ask further. She quickly said, Chairman, CEO G of Yuanyuan Pharmaceutical Company in Yangcheng wants to see you. He wants to invite you for dinner. Yuanyuan Pharmaceutical Company? Zhao Xueqing was stunned. Then she quickly said, Okay, I'll agree to it. Put it on the agenda. A big deal is coming. This pharmaceutical company was famous in South China. They were located in Yangcheng, and their products were spread across the country. Furthermore, they had over 100 branches across the country. If the Zhao family pharmaceutical company could form a partnership with Yuanyuan Pharmaceutical Company, their products would definitely be sold across the country. Just as Zhou Liwen left, a cheer came from outside. Secretary Tang is here. Welcome, Secretary Tang. Which Secretary Tang? Zhao Xueqing was stunned when she heard the cheers. Jiang Tian faintly smiled. His expression was calm as he said, Who else could it be? Tang Weimin. As he spoke, Tang Linglong had already skipped in. She smiled. Master, Sister Qing, what are you doing here instead of cultivating at home? Have you learnt the 13 Taishian swords that I taught you previously? Jiang Tian rolled his eyes. This sword technique was taught to her by Jiang Tian on the way back from Shinnong school. He had ordered her not to go out for a year, and to practice diligently. Didn't I miss you, Master's wife? Tang Linglong looked sad. She shook Zhao Xueqing's hand and said, Master's wife, look, he's being mean to me again. Ignore him. Zhao Xueqing smiled gently. But don't blame your master. A strict master produces a fine disciple. Of course. This sword technique is really powerful. I fought against my grandfather a few days ago, and he was defeated by me. Tang Linglong said proudly. Are you satisfied after defeating Elder Tang? Jiang Tian laughed involuntarily and shook his head lightly. This girl didn't know how powerful the 13 Taishian swords were. This sword technique was created by him and his old friend, the Taishian Celestial Master in the continent of the 9 clouds. It was known for its powerful attacks. Back in the days, Taishian the Celestial Master used to be a humble woodcutter. He relied on that sword skill to start his career. He defeated 13 extremely strong sword sects in a row. He shook the entire continent of the 9 clouds. In the end, he accepted the mandate of heaven and became a celestial emperor. It could be said that in all of Wuxia, even Shu Mountain and Wudang, who were famous for their swordsmanship, no one could defeat this sword technique. While they were talking, Tang Weiman came in with Secretary Kai and the others. Congratulations, Madam Jiang. This skin-nourishing ointment is famous all over the country. Welcome, Secretary Tang. Our achievements are inseparable from the support of the municipal government. Zhao Xueqing stepped forward and shook hands with Tang Weiman with a joyful expression. She wasn't being polite. Zhao Pharmaceuticals' new production line cost 100 million. Zhao Pharmaceuticals' pitiful cash flow couldn't be leveraged. It was Tang Weiman who personally called the City Investment Group and took out a 100 million interest-free loan to acquire the first pharmaceutical factory, a state-owned enterprise in the city. In addition, the municipal government gave them the green light to collect taxes and industrial land. A prescription personally improved by Grandmaster Jiang. What kind of heaven-defying existence is that? It's our responsibility to do this for the benefit of the people. Tang Weiman didn't dare to be arrogant. He quickly saluted Jiang Tian and said humbly. Jiang Tian just smiled indifferently. Both sides exchanged greetings for a while. Tang Weiman dismissed his servants and said with a smile, Master Kong, this time I came with a big order for you. How big is the order? Jiang Tian smiled. 2 billion. Tang Weiman smiled. Chapter 116. Hearing that, Zhao Xueqing was shocked. What kind of company was able to get such a big order in one go? Jiang Tian had long since figured it out. Haha, it must be the military's order. Only the military could handle such a large order. Moreover, the muscle-nourishing ointment was used to treat external injuries. In modern society, only the military soldiers would suffer from external injuries during their daily training. Master Kang's foresight is divine. Tang Weiman smiled. This is the Empress's order. First, it will be tested in Lingnan Military District. If the results are satisfactory, it will be distributed to the entire army. Distributed to the entire army. Zhao Xueqing was so excited that her face turned red, making her look even more charming than usual. She was so beautiful that it could move one's soul. She was overjoyed. If all 6 military districts bought it, it would be 5 to 6 times more. That was a 10 billion order. Secretary Tang, the Tang clan must have put in a lot of effort. Thank you for your hard work. Jiang Tian, on the other hand, was very relaxed. He took a sip of tea in satisfaction and nodded in praise. The only one who could speak to the Empress in Lin Province was the head of the Tang clan, Tang Hongtu, in the General Staff Department. As for Lingnan Military District, it was most likely Fierce Tiger's head instructor, Elder Tang. He shook his head and sighed. The Tang clan went to such lengths to invite him to instruct Zhan Hu. It wouldn't be easy for him to refuse. Sigh, Master Kong has given the Tang clan a new lease on life. What can we do for him? Tang Weiman said politely. The matter was quickly settled. On the second day, Zhao Xueqing represented the corporation and the Empress to finalize the agreement. A big deal that made others endlessly envious was easily accomplished just like that. On this day, Yang City's Yuanyuan Pharmaceutical Company sent a representative to Lin Province to negotiate with Zhao Xueqing. The meeting was held at a 5-star hotel. At night, Jiang Tian accompanied Zhao Xueqing. Yuanyuan Pharmaceutical Company sent a vice president, Ji Zhuofan, a third-generation member of the Ji clan. Is this Chairman Zhao? Welcome, welcome. Ji Zhuofan was in his late 20s, handsome and tall. His shirt was white and his pants were as sharp as blades. This person was young and promising. Moreover, he was refined and courteous. With a single glance, one could tell that he was from a large family. As a matter of fact, Ji Zhuofan was among the top 20 young masters in Yangcheng and held a high position in Yuanyuan Pharmaceuticals. He must be cultivating some kind of secret spiritual technique. Jiang Tian also found that he was exuding a strange charm. No, it should be said that he had a very seductive aura. This aura was very similar to that of the nine-tailed demon fox, the leader of the fox charm sect that Jiang Tian had met in the cultivation world. However, there was a huge difference in strength. Zhao Xueqing. This is my husband and also my assistant. Zhao Xueqing introduced herself and politely shook hands with the man. I didn't expect Chairman Zhao to be so beautiful. Ji Zhuofan saw Zhao Xueqing and was startled. His heart was on fire as he praised her. In his heart he thought, how could a small place like Linzhou always produce beauties? He originally thought that Zhou Xianya was already a peerless beauty, but he didn't expect that when compared to Zhao Xueqing, she would immediately pale in comparison to a yellow-haired maid. He glanced at Jiang Tian but didn't take it to heart. Zhou Xianya said he's a martial arts expert, stronger than Li Zhenwei. That means he's a peak internal strength grandmaster, right? Even if he was a transcendent master, he was still inferior to a cultivator who could attack without form. Jiang Tian, Zhao Xueqing, we meet again. What surprised Jiang Tian was that Zhou Xianya was also there. She was close to Ji Zhuofan, looking like his girlfriend. Before this, the Zhou family had offended Jiang Tian time and time again. According to Dragon Fifth and the others' intentions, they should just directly wipe out the Zhou family, but Jiang Tian stopped them. After Jiang Tian and his wife reconciled, he became more compassionate. They were only disrespectful, and didn't need to be so ruthless. Later on, he heard that the Zhou clan also felt uneasy. After all, they had offended Jiang Tian, so how could they continue living in Linzhou City? Thus, they sold their national medicine pharmacy to a company in Yang City, and moved their entire family to Yang City. Now it seemed the Zhou clan sold their national medicine pharmacy to Yuan, or exchanged their shares. And in the process, she developed feelings for Ji Zhuofan. Back in Linzhou, Zhou Xianya was like a mouse before a cat when she saw Jiang Tian. But now, with Ji Zhuo by her side, she seemed to have regained her confidence, her eyes lofty and arrogant. You think you're all that just because you have the Ji clan behind you? You're so short-sighted. Jiang Tian shook his head with a disdainful smile. His heart was filled with disdain. He didn't even look at her and directly sat down. Humph, Jiang Tian. You're still as arrogant as ever. Do you think the Ji clan is just a simple medical clan? The Ji and Wei clans are close. Ji Zhuofan was taught by Wei Shuofeng and even Li Zhenwei is afraid of him. You're all that you can do in a small place like Linzhou. How can you compare to Ji Zhuofan? Seeing this, Zhou Xianya also felt a great sense of defeat. She was so angry that her full chest heaved up and down as she secretly stomped her feet. Chairman Zhao is too polite. Zhao Xueqing replied politely at Jiang Tian's praise and sat next to him. The banquet began with food and wine, and everyone ate and chatted. The other party brought a business manager and introduced Zhao Xueqing to Yuan Pharmaceuticals. From start to finish, Jiang Tian didn't say a word as he ate. Sometimes he would pour tea for Zhao Xueqing, serve her food, give her napkins and drink for her. Many in the pharmaceutical industry sighed and shook their heads in disdain. Some thought Jiang Tian was a henpecked husband, a pet boy. Some of them were certain that Jiang Tian was useless and didn't know anything. That was why they were so humble. Some felt that it was not worth it for Zhao Xueqing. She was such a talented and beautiful female CEO. Yet she was married to a useless man. One had to know that the norm of marriage in China was that the man would marry the weak and the woman would marry the strong. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, Ji Zhuofan raised his cup. Chairman Zhao, there's no need for introductions. I've long heard of the muscle-nourishing ointment. I'll be frank, I'm here tonight to discuss a partnership with you. Chairman Ji, what kind of partnership do you have in mind? Zhao Xueqing sipped her tea. Yuan and Zhao clan will share the patent. Zhao clan will get 50% of the profits from each product. Ji Zhuofan smiled. No. Zhao Xueqing shook her head, but her tone was firm. I won't divulge the recipe or process to you. Chairman Zhao, don't be in such a hurry to refuse. Ji Zhuofan was calm and confident. Yuan Pharmaceuticals has pharmacies in 70 large and medium-sized cities across the country, each with at least 1 branch. Yuan Pharmaceuticals is worth 10 billion, and the Ji clan is one of Yang City's 10 great clans. One of my uncles is the provincial health department's director. My clan can call the wind and summon the rain. Your company's medicine is very effective. With the addition of Yuanyuan Pharmaceuticals' sales system, you'll be like a tiger with wings. 10 billion a year in sales, even 5 to 6 billion in profit will be within reach. Before Zhao Xueqing could speak, Jiang Tian spoke. Jizhuafan, don't you get it? There is only one muscle-nourishing ointment, but there are at least 10 pharmacies nationwide. Without you, I can still sell it all over the country. Jizhuafan looked at Jiang Tian with a bitter smile. Then I'll take a step back. We'll share the patent and I'll give you 80% of the profits. I won't let you know the recipe. Jiang Tian picked his teeth with a toothpick. Otherwise, there's no need to talk. Jiang Tian, I know you have some fame in Lin Province, but I advise you not to be arrogant. How can Lin Province's elites compare to my Ji clan? Jizhuafan snorted. If I want to know the recipe, who can hide it from me? As he spoke, he suddenly turned his head and stared at Zhao Xueqing. His pupils spun strangely and a black light shone brightly. The black light in his eyes was like a whirlpool, full of strange temptation, making people have the urge to sink into it and be unable to extricate themselves. Master is so charming. Next to him, Zhou Xinya was in a daze. Her eyes were empty, as if her soul was swallowed by the black light. Humph, with your insignificant cultivation, you dare to show off your magic in front of me? Jiang Tian's face darkened as he snorted in disdain. The black light in Jizhuafan's eyes was the evil wheel-eye art, a type of mental attack. In the early stages, it could see through objects, in the middle stages it could control souls, and at its peak it could even destroy the enemy's soul. Jizhuafan had no talent in medicine, but when he was 8, Wei Xiaofeng saw his talent in eye arts and took him in as a disciple. The whole Ji clan was overjoyed. By the time he was 20, his cultivation method had reached the great success stage, and his power was on par with Yang Guochang, a Dao initiation stage cultivator. After Jizhuafan joined Yuanyuan Pharmaceuticals, he was a vice president on the surface, but in reality, he was in charge of the business intelligence team. He relied on the evil wheel-eye art's powerful mental power to hypnotize and enslave people. Spying on trade secrets and even obtaining core formulas were as easy as pie for him. He was always successful and invincible. Humph, so what if Jiang Tian is a martial expert? Do you think you can keep the formula? Jizhuafan snorted and the black light in his eyes shot towards Zhao Xueqing's mind like an arrow, trying to grab her memories. With this evil spell alone, he had taken control of countless wealthy families and enslaved countless young ladies and actresses. You're dead. Just as the black light was about to invade Zhao Xueqing's mind, Jiang Tian let out a low shout. A golden light shot out from Jiang Tian's forehead like a bolt of lightning and hit the black light. Jiang Tian's soul was condensed from the god-transforming pill. It was as fast as lightning, fierce and indestructible. How could Jizhua's meager mental power stand a chance against it? Like ice meeting fire or butter meeting a sharp blade, Jizhuafan's mental power was crushed by Jiang Tian. Crack! The sound of sparks flashing could be heard in the air. Jizhuafan's head felt like it was hit by a sledgehammer. His body trembled and fell on his back. In an instant, blood flowed out of his 7 orifices, and his face was ghastly pale. He really looked like a demon that had crawled out from hell. Chapter 117. Zhuafan, what's wrong? Zhou Xinya paled and rushed to help Jizhua up. You can actually break my evil will pupil technique. Jizhuafan was either scared out of his wits or his psyche was shaken. He stared at Jiang Tian in disbelief. The battle of psyche was far more dangerous than martial arts. Once the secret art was broken, the psyche would devour the user, destroying their soul and turning them into mere mortals. Jizhuafan's psyche was crushed by Jiang Tian, and his magical art was rendered useless. If not for Jiang Tian's concern for Zhao Xueqing's safety, Jizhuafan would have lost his mind or died. Haha, what bullshit evil will-eye art. What's so great about it? Trash. Jiang Tian's face was calm as he sipped his tea. If I wanted to kill you, my head would have exploded by now. Why, you're crazy. Jizhuafan gnashed his teeth, but he had to admit he had the right to be arrogant. Don't bother me. You don't have the right to talk to me. Even your family's patriarch isn't qualified. Jiang Tianyi said calmly. If you want to talk, tell your master Wei Shuofeng. I'll show this piece of trash what a true magical art is. With that, Jiang Tian pulled Zhao Xueqing away under everyone's shocked gazes. In terms of martial arts, he didn't dare say he was invincible against Wuxia. After all, he had yet to face a veteran grandmaster or a god realm expert. But in terms of magical arts, he had been cultivating for tens of thousands of years. With countless secret arts and curses under his belt, he had absolute confidence in himself. He didn't fear an ant like Ji Zhuofan. If he dared cause trouble again, he'd just kill him. As for Wei Shuofeng, Jiang Tian was even looking forward to it. Come at me. I want to take your treasure. He actually broke my eye technique and destroyed my divine soul. A few minutes after Jiang Tian left, Ji Zhuofan was still sitting on the ground, his hair disheveled, his face covered in sweat and blood, muttering to himself like a madman. Since his debut he had never failed. But today he was crushed by Jiang Tian. He could not accept this cruel reality. Zhuofan, are you alright? Don't be sad. Zhou Xinya had no idea what was going on as she wiped the blood on Ji Zhuo's face with a wet towel. I'm fine. It's too big. Ji Zhuofan was inconsolable, unable to do anything to Jiang Tian. He could only vent his anger on Zhou Xinya. Pa. He slapped Zhou Xinya in the face, causing her to fall to the ground. Blood flowed from the corner of her mouth, and a few clear handprints appeared on her beautiful face. Zhuofan, why did you hit me? Zhou Xinya asked in disbelief. Her head was dizzy from the beating. Covering her burning face, she was stunned and aggrieved. You killed me. You got the wrong information. Jiang Tian isn't just a martial arts expert. He cultivates both magic and martial arts. He hated Zhou Xinya to the bone. As he cursed, he kicked Zhou Xinya's plump chest and soft belly. And you said he was a lunatic, easy to bully and easy to deal with. You killed me. If not for you, would I have gone after them? You jinx. Ji Zhuofan's kicks left Zhou Xinya rolling on the ground, howling like a bitch. She even vomited everything she ate and her face was covered in tears and snot. I really don't know what's a magical art. Zhou Xinya was covered in wounds, wailing in grief. Ji Zhuofan was sweating and panting, leaning against the wall. Jiang Tian, you broke my secret art. No matter what, I won't let you go. His eyes were filled with hatred. Zhou Xinya, the jinx, was despicable, but the culprit who ruined his secret art was Jiang Tian. I will definitely ask Master to come out of the mountain and tear this brat into 1,000 pieces. He roared with a ferocious expression. When Ji Zhuofan's secret arts effects faded, Zhou Xinya felt like a bucket of cold water had been poured over her, and she shuddered. She looked at Ji Zhuofan and found his charm to be gone. In fact, he looked terrifying, making her heart beat faster. Strange, why was I so obsessed with him? Why did I sell the clan's business for 1/5 of the market price? Zhou Xinya screamed in her heart, filled with regret. Zhou Xinya was a social butterfly, skilled in dancing and dancing. She walked through a field of flowers without a single leaf falling on her. But this time she didn't fall for Ji Zhuofan's charms. It made her shiver. That night, after coaxing Zhao Xueqing to sleep, Jiang Tian went to the roof and began his long-awaited cultivation. The trip to Shenong School was fruitful. Aside from the azure wood divine cauldron, which can be used as a spiritual gathering array's wood element, the most important thing is this demonic flame stone. Jiang Tian opened his palm and looked at the demonic flame stone that was shining with a strange light. He sighed in his heart. The demonic flame stone was a creation of heaven and earth. It contained a great amount of fire energy. If absorbed, it could be used in conjunction with Jiang Tian's fire cultivation method to create a demonic flame chi weapon, increasing its power tenfold. This demonic flame stone's energy would explode. If a normal person was hit by its radiation, they would die within days. That was why it was kept in a box made of lead. Even a cultivator wouldn't be able to withstand the violent energy if they used a normal cultivation method. In case of a backlash, they would lose their cultivation and even explode. But Jiang Tian cultivated the primal chaos creation art created by Ancestor Crocodile, so there was no problem. One had to know that ancestor crocodile was the #1 tautai in the cultivation world. It was said that there was nothing it couldn't eat and nothing it couldn't refine. He once made a bet with Jiang Tian. This guy actually swallowed a star the size of a sun. Not only did he come out of it unscathed, his cultivation even increased, causing Jiang Tian to lose an entire star field to him. Refine. Shaking his head, Jiang Tian shook his head and roared in his mind. The primal chaos creation art began to run like crazy. In an instant, Jiang Tian's qi became deep and empty, as if it had opened up a new space that could swallow anything. Qi. The fire energy contained within the demonic flame stone instantly formed a crimson-red cyclone, crazily pouring into Jiang Tian's qi. Cultivation knew no time. In the blink of an eye, 8 days passed. Crack. With a soft sound, the demonic flame stone's energy was exhausted and turned into a pile of grayish-white debris. There's an additional fire energy in my qi. My cultivation has also increased to qi refining stage 3. I wonder if I can successfully use the demonic flame qi soldier. Jiang Tian sighed softly and twisted his fingers. The air suddenly became restless and a small blue flame appeared at his fingertips. Nodding in satisfaction, Jiang Tian waved his fingers. Qi. A flaming qi weapon shot out wildly. The instant it chopped down a huge tree in the courtyard, it burned it to dust. Not bad, not bad. The demonic flame qi soldier is finally done. Jiang Tian nodded in satisfaction, his eyes filled with excitement. In the cultivation world, flames were divided into many types, such as gentle flame, martial flame, yin flame, yang flame, and so on. Gentle flame was used to refine pills and heal injuries, while martial flame was used to kill enemies. And demonic flame qi soldier was at least in the top 20 of the martial flame in the cultivation world. With a temperature of 10,000 degrees, it could burn everything and nothing could survive. Ordinary flames would have to retreat if they encountered it. The key was that this energy had already fused with Jiang Tian, and it was different from relying on external items like fireball talismans to release fire attacks. It could be released instantly, and it could be used at will. It also had the advantage of time. Time flew by, and Jiang Tian had been back from Shenong school for a month. In the past month, under the efforts of the Jiangbei elites, the materials needed for the spirit gathering array had been shipped to him. Jiang Tian summoned Shen Mange, Feng Shui Master Qi, and the others. According to the method he taught them, they set up the foundation of the spirit gathering array in the #1 King Villa. Now everything was ready. All he needed to do was to insert the Xianhuang clay pot into the base to activate the spirit gathering array. At the same time, Jiang Tian made a lot of Dharma artifacts and talisman charms in case he needed them. That night, someone sent an invitation to the king's mansion. The banquet of bliss hosted by the Wei family of Yangcheng was about to begin, and Jiang Tian and his wife were invited to attend. The invitation was signed with 3 words. Wei Shuofeng. Haha, they don't come with good intentions. Jiang Tian leisurely thought. Wei Shuofeng, what do you want? Revenge for your disciple, Jizhua Fan? Or do you want to get your hands on Jiangbei? Or have you heard of me and coveted my cultivation resources? Regardless, I'm worried you won't make a move. Once you do, the Xianhuang clay pot will be mine. August 13, 2007. The Southern Sect's #1 magical practitioner, Wei Shuofeng, sent an invitation to the Banquet of Bliss. The Banquet of Bliss is held by the Wei, Tang, Tai, Bai and other great clans of Yangcheng. In the chairman's office, Zhao Xueqing spoke. Once the banquet begins, the elites of Jiangnan's 7 great cities will attend. They will pay homage to Wei Shuofeng and present him with gifts. Not only that, but even the great clans close to the Wei family will attend. The market of Jiangnan's 7 cities is bigger than Jiangbei. We can't lose this market, but Jiangnan's medicine market is controlled by the Ji and Wei clans. We've offended the Ji clan. I'm afraid. What are you afraid of with me here? If we don't go, won't they think we're cowards? Jiang Tian smiled. Don't worry. One day, Zhao Pharmacy's name will shake the world and you will become the world's richest woman. And Yangcheng will be our first battlefield. Such simple words, coming from Jiang Tian's mouth, were full of pride and arrogance. As long as you're with me, I'm not afraid of anything. I will push the market to Jiangnan. Seeing Jiang Tian's confidence, Zhao Xueqing's eyes flashed with determination. Grandmaster Jiang, please come quickly. The Crouching Dragon Villa is about to start fighting. Tang Linglong called and shouted anxiously. Jiang Tian rushed to Crouching Dragon Villa and found the elites of Jiangbei holding an emergency meeting. The atmosphere was tense. Chapter 118. Master Kong. Master Kong is here. Everyone stood up and bowed respectfully at Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian waved his hand and signaled them to continue the meeting. It seems like everyone has received the invitation. Yi Gufeng scanned the crowd and asked. Yes. Everyone nodded. Can't you see? Wei Xiaofeng wants to take over Jiangbei in one fell swoop. Yi Gufeng shook his head with a wry smile. I don't care. Wei Xiaofeng made Crouching Dragon Villa lose a few $100 million. How can I forgive him? Tang Wanyan said angrily. What makes you think you can fight with him? Wei Xiaofeng is a spellcaster. Who can defeat him? Yi Gufeng shrugged helplessly. We have Master Kong. Zhou Jinghao rubbed his hands together and said. If Master Kong attacks, they will all be defeated. Don't you have faith in Master Kong? Little Zhou, don't you try to sow discord. Yi Gufeng slammed the table and said. I'm not saying that Master Kong is not good enough. I think that Jiangbei has just been established. We haven't even finished the internal process yet. We shouldn't rush things. Jiang Tian understood what was going on. It seemed like the elites of Linzhou wanted to fight while Yi Gufeng wanted to avoid the brunt of the attack. Both sides had different opinions. Zheng Guangxia, who was the oldest among them, smiled and said, Everyone stop arguing. Let's listen to Master Kang's opinion. Everyone looked at Jiang Tian and waited for him to make a decision. Jiang Tian took a sip of tea and said, If he wants to fight, then let's fight. How can we let someone else sleep next to us? If Wei Xiaofeng wants to kill us, we won't be able to escape from the banquet of bliss. That's right. Let's fight them. We have Master Kong. What are we afraid of? Zhou Jinghao rolled up his sleeves and said excitedly. Dragon Fifth, Third Master Tang, and Zheng Guangxia all nodded in agreement. Lu Ziquan had the same personality as Zhou Jinghao. They both liked to flaunt their bravery and ruthlessness. He moved closer to Yi Gufeng's ear and said, Master Feng, Master Kong is right. Master Feng, have you forgotten? 5 years ago, he sent a disciple to curse you to death. We had to sacrifice 3 of our Gale Navy's men before we were able to escape from that calamity. Of course I won't forget. How could Yi Gufeng not want to eliminate the Wei clan? However, he did not think that they had a 100% chance of winning this battle. His face was full of worry as he said, In my opinion, the Wei family, Jiangnan's Bai family, Tang family, Mo family, Tai family, and other powerful families will all participate in the banquet of bliss. There might even be powerful people from other provinces or Beijing and Zhonghai. Don't worry, Mr. Yi. Jiang Tian took a sip of tea and said calmly, This time, I will personally lead the team to participate in the banquet of bliss. Since the two sides are like fire and water, the battle with the Wei clan will happen sooner or later. Whoever dares to stop this battle will be killed without mercy. Master Feng, Master Kong was able to escape unscathed from Shinnong School. Why would he be afraid of the Wei clan? Duke Qiu also advised. Hearing this, Yi Gufeng was slightly relieved. After pondering for a long time, he suddenly slammed the table and said angrily, Fine, then we will gather at the banquet of bliss. I want to see what kind of tricks the Wei clan can play. At this time, Jiang Tian opened his mouth and said, When the time comes, you don't have to support me or endorse me. I can defeat all the powerful families in Jiangnan by myself. Only Ghost Kick and Shen Mange will follow me and Xueqing closely. Jiang Tian's expression was calm, but his tone was resolute and decisive, making the final decision. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This was Master Kang's monstrous spirit. He could defeat all the powerful warriors in the 7 cities of Jiangnan by himself. Then, everyone bowed deeply, clasped their hands and prayed in unison. May Master Kong win the battle and return with honor. Since the Wei clan is going to make a move, then we will not fight an unprepared battle. Jiang Tian nodded slightly and handed over dozens of bracelets. This is the 8 blessing bracelet. Each member of the Jiangbei Chamber of Commerce will get one. Oh, isn't this the bracelet that Madame Zhao found before? Tang Wanyan was like a greedy cat. He was almost drooling as he hurriedly put it on his wrist. The moment he put on the bracelet, Tang Wanyan suddenly exclaimed, that's strange. My headache seems to have subsided a lot. Tang Wanyan was also very depressed after the series of incidents at Crouching Dragon Villa. He couldn't sleep at night. His head hurt like needles, and he even lost a lot of hair. The doctor said that it was a nervous headache. He had taken a lot of medicine, but it didn't work. My old injury also doesn't hurt anymore. Zhou Zhenghao touched the scar on his chest and said in surprise, what happened? 10 years ago, when he was still a gangster on the street, he was stabbed in the chest by an enemy. The wound left him with a dull pain from time to time. But now the pain was gone. Master Kong, this is a Dharma artifact. Zheng Guangxia exclaimed as he played with the bracelet. He had a problem with his legs. In his early years, he used to dig holes in construction sites and soak his legs in ice water in the winter. But now, he felt that the discomfort in his legs had completely disappeared. Master Kong, what is this? After I put it on, I feel that my head is clear and my eyes are clear. My body is full of energy. Yi Gufeng's eyes were filled with surprise. It is a Dharma artifact. Jiang Tian's face was calm. He took a sip of tea and said, there is a small qi gathering array carved on each piece of jade. It can guide the overflowing qi of heaven and earth into your body. If you wear it for a long time, your body will be strong, your illness will be cured, and you may even live a long life. What? So miraculous! Everyone cried out in surprise, looking at Jiang Tian with feverish eyes. Thank you, Master Kong, for giving us this treasure. Zheng Guangxia was even more grateful and bowed deeply. He was old and knew the value of life. He also knew the value of this bracelet. It could prolong one's life, which could not be bought with any amount of money. It could be said that the support he had given to Jiang Tian before this allowed him to obtain this bracelet, with interest. Ancient masters of sorcery would choose to live in a blessed place where they could be nourished by qi for a long time. Not only could they live a long life, but they could also become immortals. Feng Shui Master Qi also got a jade pendant. He sighed as if he had gotten a treasure. Master Kang's bracelet seems to put everyone in a small blessed place. That's right. Jiang Tian nodded. As soon as he said that, everyone's eyes became even more excited. They joked, with Master Kang's gift, we are immediately treated like ancient immortals. No amount of money can buy this. Jiang Tian said slowly. In addition, each jade stone is engraved with a protective jade talisman. It can block 1 shot from a gun. 8 jade stones can block 8 shots. Oh my god. Is it really that powerful? No one would believe it. Tang Wanyan was so excited that he could not believe it. Third brother, you don't believe it? Then give it a try. Jiang Tian suddenly smiled evilly. Hearing this, everyone retreated 3 steps back. They disregarded the code of brotherhood and distanced themselves from Third Master Tang. I believe it. I believe it so much. Master Kong, it's better not to try it. Tang Wanyan was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He hated himself for being so stupid. Shoot him. Jiang Tian smiled at Zhou Zhenghao. Third Master, you can't blame me. Master Kong ordered me to do so. Zhou Zhenghao let out a strange laugh, pulled out a pistol, and fired a shot at Tang Wanyan's chest. Bang! The gunshot startled Tang Wanyan. He screamed, "Oh my god!" But when he opened his eyes, he found that he was safe and sound. Only one of the jade stones on his wrist was broken. Amazing! This is a real magical item. Dragon Fifth picked up the severely deformed bullet on the ground. His eyes were filled with excitement. He was so excited that he slapped his thigh. Treasure! This is really a treasure. This is much better than any bodyguard. Everyone was in awe. They could not believe it. With the protection of the 8 Blessings bracelet, no matter how powerful Wei Shuofeng is, what can he do to us? Even Yi Gufeng had become 100 times more confident. No, Master Kong, I've already broken one. You have to give me another one. I've already become your lab rat. You have to give me 2 more. Tang Wanyan was like a child begging for candy as he pulled on Jiang Tian's sleeves, unwilling to let go, causing everyone to burst into laughter. Suddenly, Zhou Zhenghao thought of a key question and asked, Master Kong, do you have any more of these jade bracelets? I can carve them with ordinary jade stones. These bracelets only take me half a day. Jiang Tian waved his hand and said, to put it bluntly, you can have as many as you want. Suddenly, Zhou Zhenghao rolled his eyes and asked with a smile, Grandmaster Jiang, how much would one of these bracelets cost if you could sell them? 1 million. Jiang Tian said. Everyone was stunned. Jiang Tian could make 30 to 40 of them a day. That would be 30 to 40 million a day, and 10 billion a year. 10 billion was almost a net profit. After all, these jade stones were not that precious. 1 million for a bracelet? That's too much. Would anyone buy it? Zhou Zhenghao was stunned. Even if it was 10 million, people would buy it. For people like us, is 10 million more important than our lives? Yi Gufeng sneered. Among the people present, he was the most famous and had the most enemies. He knew the preciousness of magical treasures. Now that Wuxia was full of powerful cultivators, what was the use of having so much money? They were still fish on the chopping board of various martial arts masters, assassins and kidnappers. If he could get his hands on the 8 fortune bracelet, it would be equivalent to having a few more lives. It would also strengthen his body. Anyone with tens of millions would be willing to buy it. Jiang Tian nodded slightly. This is a big deal. Let's not do anything else but this. Tang Wanyan was so excited that he slapped his thigh. I won't sell it to the public for now. Those who join my sect are my friends. Only then are you qualified to wear the 8 fortune bracelet. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. After the meeting, Yi Gufeng called Jiang Tian to his car. He handed a cigarette to Jiang Tian and lit it for Jiang Tian. After that, he took a cigarette in his mouth and took a puff. After a long silence, Yi Gufeng exhaled a puff of smoke and said slowly, Jiang Tian, in front of everyone, you are Master Kong and I am your subordinate. But in your heart, you are Ziwei's brother and the man she loves deeply. Do you understand how I feel? Chapter 119. I understand. Jiang Tian sighed with a bitter smile. Yi Gufeng must be worried about him. As for the conflict between Jiang Nan and Jiang Bei, that was secondary. I don't ask you to be rich. I just want you to live in harmony and peace. Yi Gufeng's eyes were slightly red, and tears almost flowed down. I've worked hard all my life, even bearing the infamy of abandoning my wife, just so that you juniors can live a carefree life. You don't have to be like me, fighting to the death with others, and can't even have a good night's sleep. Don't worry, Mr. Yi. I won't let you down, and I won't make Sister Weiwei sad. To put it bluntly, I am confident that I will win. Jiang Tian smiled lightly, but he was brimming with strong confidence as he said, in your eyes, the Wei clan is extremely terrifying like a primordial beast, but in my eyes, they are merely a group of ants that I can annihilate with a flick of my finger. After Jiang Tian left, Yi Gufeng looked at the night sky on the window and sighed. I don't know if this is the right decision. If something happens to Jiang Tian, Ziwei will definitely fight me to the death. The news of the Banquet of Bliss swept across the southeastern part of Wuxia. In just 2 days it had spread across half of the southern Wuxia. The Banquet of Bliss was not held every year, but all the people in Jiangnan, and even the big families from other provinces had been waiting for the Banquet of Bliss to begin. Only at the Banquet of Bliss would one be able to meet the godlike Wei Shuofeng and receive his rewards. Only then would one be able to obtain magical artifacts and pills of magical powers. Or one could be enlightened by him and turn misfortunes into blessings. For the opening of the Banquet of Bliss, who knew how many large clans from both inside and outside the province had made ample preparations. Jewels, jades, antiques, paintings, gold bars, checks, and all sorts of other gifts were prepared in exchange for Wei Shuofeng's rewards. The Wei clan of Lingnan was extremely wealthy, and their assets were in the tens of billions. Ordinary people were all familiar with them. But in high society, the Wei family was even more mysterious. It was rumored that Wei Shuofeng was a master of the southern sex spells. He could draw talismans with a lift of his hand, create a rays with a thought, turn reeds into swords, and scatter beans into soldiers. If one was enlightened by it, they would be able to turn misfortune into blessings, and everything would go smoothly. However, no one knew exactly where he came from. Some said that he had obtained a set of mysterious ancient scrolls, and became a self-taught genius. Some said that he had once been a disciple of the Maoshan sect. There were even some who said that he had once joined a mysterious ancient sorcery sect in the 100,000 mountains of the Miao territory, and had once served as a cultivation imparting elder. On this day, a Rolls-Royce Phantom and a Mercedes-Benz off-road vehicle were speeding along the highway from Linzhou to Yangcheng. Rock music came from the stereo. In the driver's seat, there was a beautiful girl wearing a spaghetti skirt and skateboard shoes. She was swaying crazily to the rhythm of the music. In the back row sat a young man in a white shirt and black trousers. He was holding a medical book in one hand, and reading it with great interest. In the other hand, he was holding a girl with cold eyes and an otherworldly temperament. It was none other than Jiang Tian. The driver was his sister-in-law, Zhao Qianru. In this regard, Jiang Tian could only shake his head with a bitter smile. Zhao Qianru had already graduated and joined the Zhao Pharmaceutical Company as the chairman's assistant. After knowing that the Banquet of Bliss was being held, Zhao Qianru insisted on coming with Jiang Tian to broaden her horizons. What surprised Jiang Tian was that the Banquet of Bliss was also famous in the eyes of ordinary people. It turned out that the Banquet of Bliss was divided into internal banquet and external banquet. The internal banquet was only attended by the true members of the upper class. It was a mysterious gathering to pay respects to the Wei family and obtain Wei Shuofeng's enlightenment. As for the external banquet, it was packaged as an international lifestyle brand exchange exhibition. It included a yacht exhibition, an official aircraft exhibition, a real estate exhibition, and a variety of boutique fashion brand exhibitions. Many celebrities and rich people would participate. To Zhao Qianru, who liked fashion, this was undoubtedly a fatal attraction. Jiang Tian could only agree helplessly. In the Mercedes-Benz off-road vehicle behind, there were two servants, Shen Mange and Ghost Kick. Linzhou was more than 200 kilometers away from the provincial capital, Yangcheng. At a gas station in the middle, everyone stopped to rest. Jiang Tian got out of the car to stretch his limbs and smoke a cigarette. Zhao Xueqing and Shen Mange went to the washroom together, but Qianru stuck 2 stickers on the car. "What's this?" Jiang Tian asked. "Brother-in-law, this is the Banquet of Bliss's promotional paper. It has an anti-counterfeiting symbol. We can only drive the car into the inner area after we stick it on." Zhao Qianru looked at the stickers on the car with satisfaction and smiled. "I have face. I can also participate in the Banquet of Bliss." "I only wanted to participate in the internal banquet, but looking at Qianru's face, I'm afraid that I have to go to the external banquet." Jiang Tian shook his head and chuckled. Zhao Xueqing and her sister had different personalities. Qing'er was low-key and introverted. She was not flamboyant, and was as calm as the water. However, Zhao Qianru was lively and passionate. Perhaps it was inherited from her mother. If he didn't go to the external banquet, Zhao Qianru would probably make a scene and cry in front of him. "Hubby, do you want strawberries?" Zhao Xueqing bought 2 boxes of strawberries at the high-speed service center, and handed one to Jiang Tian. It's so cold." Jiang Tian stuffed it into his mouth and chewed. He immediately grimaced and stared at Zhao Xueqing's captivating red lips. He laughed sinisterly. "Wife, I want to eat something that's not cold." "TSK, you stinking hooligan. Don't have any ideas about me." Zhao Xueqing rolled her eyes at Jiang Tian. However, the corners of her eyes were filled with charm. She was so beautiful that it was soul-stirring. "Oh, then I won't eat it." Jiang Tian was a little disappointed in his heart as he helplessly shrugged his shoulders. Suddenly, Zhao Xueqing stood on her tiptoes and moved in front of Jiang Tian. Her captivating red lips opened slightly, and with the tip of her tongue, She stuffed a strawberry that carried the fragrance of her lips and teeth into Jiang Tian's mouth. His lips still had the soft fragrance of her cherry lips. Jiang Tian was overjoyed and laughed. Delicious, so sweet. "Io, it's so sweet." Zhao Qianru held her heart with her hands and sighed with envy. He just watch. Jiang Tian was extremely satisfied. He only felt that his wife was like this. What else could a husband ask for? He hugged his beloved wife and kissed her twice. "You're flaunting your love and spreading dog food. Why don't you look at my mood? I protest." Zhao Qianru stretched out her arms and hugged Jiang Tian's waist, then laughed. "No, the baby also wants to be hugged." All right, let's get in the car." Jiang Tian hugged her waist and got in the car. "Sister, let's sleep together tonight." Zhao Qianru smiled. "Then your brother-in-law's wish to sleep together will come true." Zhao Xueqing knew that her sister was joking and teased Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian was startled and hurriedly waved his hand. "You can't joke about this. You're not a child. Why are you sleeping together?" As the three of them were teasing each other, a burst of laughter suddenly came from a Porsche Cayenne beside them. "Io, this brother is really lucky to play with sisters. It's even better than Wei Xiaobao. Not only sisters, there's also a beauty beside them. For groups." They even saw the beautiful and exquisite figure of Shen Mange, and immediately pointed out the window and teased loudly. "What are you talking about?" Shen Mange's face turned cold and her phoenix eyes emitted a cold light. Shen Mange was a penniless maid in front of Jiang Tian, but she was actually the daughter of Yin Jing's Shen family, the chief disciple of Shennong school. How could she be blasphemed by these rich second generations of the secular world? "Little girl, you're quite fierce. What do you want?" The strong man driving the car sneered. While they were talking, Shen Mange had already arrived beside their car and kicked the tire. With a bang, the car shook violently. The tire was actually broken by Shen Mange's kick. "Forget it, Mange, let's go." Jiang Tian was too lazy to pay attention to these people. These people were driving luxury cars with Lingnan military license plates, so they must have some background. These second generations of rich second generations were afraid of small matters. The more you scolded them, the more excited they would be. They were like dogskin plasters. Jiang Tian and the others got into the car and drove away. "Damn, that's a big sister. You've punctured my tires." The strong man driving the car shook his head and looked at the tire after getting out of the car. He then started to change the spare tire. "Hee, that young man is quite handsome. I'm afraid he won't be able to take it at night." A few people laughed. However, suddenly, a girl with exquisite makeup and Prada sunglasses frowned and said, "That's strange. Why did Zhao Xueqing and Jiang Tian go to Yangcheng?" "What, Zhao Xueqing and Jiang Tian?" Everyone was confused. There were a total of 5 men and women in the Qian, 2 men and 3 women. In addition to the muscular man driving the car, there was also a handsome and tall young man with an extraordinary temperament. He had fashionable slanted bangs and a feminine face, very much like the style of a Korean flower boy. Among the 3 women, the girl with the sunglasses was the coldest. She was tall and had exquisite makeup. Her beautiful eyes were watery with contact lenses, and her lips were red with lipstick. Especially her pair of snow-white and slender long legs, which could be said to be a pair of legs that could make lovers of beautiful legs drool. It was Zhou Xinya. Although the 2 girls beside her were slightly inferior to Zhou Xinya, they could still be considered top-grade beauties. If they were placed on the streets, they would be top-grade beauties that would attract a lot of attention. Moreover, looking at their clothes and jewelry, they seemed to be from a wealthy family. Hearing this, they looked at Zhou Xinya in confusion. Suddenly, the beautiful man seemed to have thought of something and his body trembled. "Xinya, are you talking about the daughter of Lin Zhou's Zhao family?" "Lin Zhou's Zhao family? Who?" The 2 girls were from Yangcheng and had just returned from a trip. They didn't know about the situation in Linzhou. Zhou Xinya frowned and said, "It's them. But they just offended the Ji family. Why would they go to Yangcheng to court death?" "Xinya, you've been in Linzhou all this time and you're familiar with Zhao Xueqing. You shouldn't be mistaken." The beautiful man frowned and gritted his teeth. "But why would she dare to go to Yangcheng? Isn't she afraid that young Master Tang and young Master Ji will kill them?" The Zhao family once cheated young Master Tang, and young Master Tang took it as a humiliation of his life. What are you talking about? Who is this girl? How is she related to the Ji family and young Master Tang? She even cheated young Master Tang? The two fair, rich, and beautiful girls were confused by the conversation between the two. The beautiful man glanced at them, and a trace of disdain appeared in the depths of his eyes. Although they were all in Yang Cheng's circle, he was already considered a top-tier young master. Usually he couldn't be bothered with these big-breasted, brainless rich girls. If it wasn't for their good relationship with Zhou Xianya, he wouldn't have brought them out to play. But in the end, the beautiful man patiently explained, "You should have heard that Tang Xiaozi from the Tang family arranged a marriage 3 years ago, right?" Chapter 120. That's right. The news spread like wildfire in the circle back then. I wonder which family's young lady is so lucky to be favored by young Master Tang. The two girls chattered excitedly, chattering nonstop. The handsome man continued, "Back then, there were many young ladies who wanted to propose marriage to Tang Xiaozi. Rumor has it that there was even the daughter of a provincial party secretary in the West. However, young Master Tang had his eyes on that girl in Linzhou City." Linzhou City. What other decent girls could there be in such a small place other than Xianya? That's right. Other than the Tang family, there's still some capital. The two girls said in disdain. That's right. The handsome man sighed. The Zhao family can't be compared to the Tang family. It was only when Wei Fang's father, Wei Jinghu, proposed marriage that Zhao Xueqing caught young Master Tang's attention. Zhao Xueqing is known as the flower of Linzhou City. Although her family's assets are less than 100 million, she's beautiful and has a pure temperament. She has a good reputation in Linzhou City. Young Master Tang was infatuated with her the moment he saw her. I heard that the Zhao family is also very satisfied with young Master Tang. Young Master Tang is very generous with his work. The Zhao family is in the pharmaceutical industry, and young Master Tang bought 50 million worth of medicine from them. But who would have thought that Zhao Xueqing wouldn't agree to it no matter what? In the end, the marriage fell through just like that. The two girls kept quiet out of fear when they heard that. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Before they knew it, they could still talk about it. But now, they were scared out of their wits. In Yangcheng, the Tang family was one of the few major families, and Tang Xiaozi was a first-rate young master. But now he was made a fool out of. Just hearing about it was enough to make one's heart tremble. In Lingnan, who would dare to play with young Master Tang like that? Wouldn't that be courting death? Young Master Tang is not allowed to talk about this matter, because of the humiliation he suffered in his life. The handsome man glanced at the two of them and instructed, "You're not allowed to talk about it when you're outside. Do you understand?" The two girls nodded like chickens pecking at rice. "Did you notice? Their car has the Blissful Banquet's logo. I'm afraid that they're going to attend the Blissful Banquet." Zhou Xianya suddenly, she crossed her arms. "Hee, this bitch is really bold." The handsome youth gnashed his teeth and said, "The Zhao family cheated brother Xiaozi just like that, and they still dare to go to the Banquet of Bliss. After all, the Tang family is one of the organizers of the Banquet of Bliss." Speaking up to this point, the handsome young man looked at the brawny man who was sitting in the driver's seat after changing the tire and said in a deep voice, "Yunpeng, you're young Master Tang's good brother. You won't ignore this matter this time, right?" Yunpeng was tall and burly, his surging muscles almost bursting out of his camouflage t-shirt. Like a small mountain, he sat in the driver's seat. His callous fingers tapped the steering wheel, and his eyes were gloomy as he said in a deep voice, "Lu Fan, don't worry. If they offend me, I will chop them into pieces." Seeing this, Zhou Xianya's lips curled into a mocking smile as she mocked in her heart, "Jiang Tian, Zhao Xueqing, you guys have been doing well in Jiangbei these days, but what are you in Yangcheng? You'll definitely be played to death by Lu Fan and Yin Peng." She crossed her arms as her eyes were filled with arrogance. Her smile was getting colder and colder. "Humph, you guys didn't know that I'm already Lu Fan's girlfriend. I can even talk to young Master Tang. When the time comes, I want you guys to kneel before me and beg for mercy." Jiang Tian had no idea about this. They arrived in Yangcheng at 11 o'clock in the afternoon. Shen Mange and Ghost Kick checked into a hotel near the Banquet of Bliss. On the other hand, Jiang Tian and Zhao Xueqing drove to a villa in the suburbs. Brother-in-law, sister, you must be polite when you see my grandpa, uncle and cousin later, Zhao Qianru exhorted after getting out of the car. Zhao Xueqing also smiled gently and said, "Don't worry. In my eyes, old man Wei is also my grandpa." "Okay, don't worry." Jiang Tian's eyes flashed as he nodded and carried the bags of gifts. Other than attending the Banquet of Bliss, they also wanted to visit Zhao Qianru's grandpa and uncle's family. Zhao Qianru's grandpa was called Wei Jinghu, and Wei Fong was his youngest daughter. Old man Wei was once the head of Yangcheng's organization in the 1990s. Wei Jinghu had a deep network of connections. His children had also spread out, and his family members were involved in business and politics. With him as the center, they formed a sizable family. Jiang Tian had a faint impression of Wei Jinghu. In his impression, Wei Jinghu only went to Linzhou a few times, and every time he ignored him and Zhao Xueqing. Originally, Wei Jinghu was furious when Wei Fong married Zhao Huqing, and Zhao Huqing brought along Zhao Xueqing as a burden. In his previous life, when the Jiang family was destroyed, Jiang Tian and Zhao Xueqing had come to the Wei family for help. However, Wei Jinghu was like an emperor and refused to see them. Although it had been 10,000 years, Jiang Tian could still remember the cold-blooded face of the Wei family back then, and it made him feel unhappy. Coming to the door, Zhao Qianru pressed the doorbell and shouted, "Cousin, cousin, we're here." With a whoosh, the electric door opened. A girl with a beautiful face, a tall figure, and a refined temperament walked out and said with a smile, "Qianru has become a great beauty." "Cousin." Zhao Qianru hugged the girl's arm and smiled sweetly. The girl was called Wei Jieqiong, the daughter of Zhao Qianru's second uncle, Wei Tianhe. She was in her late 20s and graduated from Huaqing University's management school. She was currently the head of the strategy department in the Wei family's industrial group. Zhao Xueqing also went up and greeted with a smile. "Cousin." Wei Jieqiong's gaze fell on Zhao Xueqing and Jiang Tian, and a trace of disdain flashed in her eyes. She nodded arrogantly as a form of greeting. Then she pulled Zhao Qianru into the villa and whispered, "Qianru, it's fine if you're here, but why did you ask them to come? Don't make your grandfather unhappy." She didn't have a good impression of Zhao Xueqing and Jiang Tian. Zhao Xueqing was cold, arrogant, stubborn, and ignorant. Back then, old man Wei tried to pull strings for her to marry Tang Xiaozi, the eldest young master of the Tang family. However, she firmly refused, putting the Wei family in an awkward position. Since then, old man Wei would shake his head at the mention of Zhao Xueqing. He originally thought that Zhao Xueqing was arrogant and would marry some rich young master. But who knew that it was the ignorant and useless Jiang Tian? Moreover, he heard that Jiang Tian had drunk too much and hurt his brain, causing him to go crazy. In the eyes of the Wei family, whether it was Zhao Xueqing or Jiang Tian, they were all a joke. My sister and brother-in-law are different now. They succeeded in making the muscle-nourishing ointment, and now my mother has handed the company over to them. My sister has become the chairman, Zhao Qianru said loudly. Hearing this, Wei Jieqiong's expression changed. How did the two of them seize control of the Zhao pharmaceutical company? This was too strange. At this moment, Wei Jieqiong was so anxious that she stomped her feet and rebuked. "Qianru, she's the chairman now? What's wrong with you and Aunt? Why did you hand over the controlling shares to them?" As they spoke, everyone arrived at the luxuriously decorated hall. He saw an old man with a thin face and white hair sitting in the middle. He was dignified without being angry, and he had quite a bit of temperament. On the sofa around him, there were first uncle's family, second uncle's family, and first aunt's family. There were many people. The man's bearing was calm, while the woman's was noble. The young men and women of the third generation were also handsome and beautiful, and they had achieved great achievements in their respective fields. On the four walls of the living room, there were photos of Wei Jinghu with some provincial and provincial leaders, including many feudal officials. Zhao Qianru immediately went up to greet. "Hello, Grandpa." Wei Jinghu nodded kindly and smiled. "Qianru, I heard that you have graduated. You have to work hard. He took out an exquisite gift box and smiled. I'll give you a wristwatch. You have to have a sense of time. You can't be late for work. Wow, Patek Philippe. Thank you, Grandpa. Zhao Qianru was overjoyed. Just this wristwatch alone cost more than 100,000 yuan, which was equivalent to a year's salary. When Jiang Tian placed the gift on the coffee table, Zhao Xueqing also went up to greet. Hello, Grandpa. Wei Jinghu only snorted. His face wasn't cold, and there wasn't any smile on his face. He lowered his head and drank his tea. Sister, brother-in-law, take a seat. Zhao Qianru immediately pulled Jiang Tian and his wife to sit down, helping the two of them out of the situation. After chatting for a while, Wei Jinghu smiled. Qianru, your aunt knows that you're coming. She has booked a banquet at the Hilton Hotel. But I'm old, and I don't like to move. Why don't we eat at home? Grandpa, it's good to eat at home. It's convenient. Zhao Qianru naturally had nothing to say and smiled sweetly. The banquet was held in the living room, but the chefs were all from 5-star hotels. First, they made exquisite cold dishes. Cod liver with orange vinegar, crystal pork knuckles, sauced venison, and braised beef tendon. The ingredients were all carefully selected, and they were all made by chefs. After that, it was the appetizer before the main course. The pot of Buddha jumps over the wall soup had been brewing since yesterday. Yangqing City was the best in Cantonese cuisine. There were many different styles, and the flavors were salty, sour, and spicy. I heard that your father is doing well recently. Has he been transferred to the municipal committee? Wei Jinghu took a sip of wine and asked. After he retired, his blood pressure was a little high, and he basically stopped drinking white wine. Now he was drinking white wine from Italy's top winery, Tuscany. It wasn't expensive, and it was only 50,000 yuan per bottle. The old man drank a few mouthfuls every day, and he heard that it had the effect of promoting blood circulation. Before the Zhao sisters could speak, eldest aunt spoke in disdain. Dad, what's the point of being an office director in a small city like Linzhou City? Big brother is now an office director in Yangqing City's municipal government. This is the provincial capital. Everyone looked at Wei Tianduan's family with envy. On the other hand, the Zhao Xueqing sisters had an awkward expression on their faces. Wei Tianduan only smiled politely. This is nothing. I'm still a far cry from my father's achievements back then. Big brother has always been steady in his work. In the future, our Wei family will have a deputy mayor. Wei Tianhe, who was the investment director of Yangqing City's state-owned investment group, smiled. Haha, Big brother will definitely be able to catch up to Dad in the future. Our family will definitely have a provincial government official, eldest uncle praised. When Big brother becomes the deputy mayor, I'll see if anyone dares to criticize Tianhe. Second aunt snorted. I'm still worried about Wei Fong and her husband. Wei Jinghu sighed. If Wei Fong had listened to me back then, how could she be an office director in the municipal committee? Dad, you can't blame them for this. Wei Tianhe snorted. Back then, Wei Fong had so many suitors, and she insisted on marrying Zhao Huqing. They had to work hard to start a business, and Zhao Huqing had a burden holding him back. How could he achieve anything when he didn't even have time to work? When Zhao Xueqing heard the words burden, her body trembled as tears welled up in her eyes. However, she was gentle and kind, so she didn't say anything. Chapter 121. What burden? You better be more polite when you speak. In my opinion, my wife is a noble, and you guys aren't even comparable to a strand of her hair. Seeing his wife's aggrieved expression, Jiang Tian was instantly enraged. Knitting his brows, he coldly reprimanded. With me around, my wife will become a pharmaceutical magnate and the richest person in the world in the future. Who are you to say anything about that? It seemed that the Wei family was still the same as before. They liked to climb up the social ladder, despising the poor and favoring the rich. Such a clan, if they couldn't even achieve internal unity, how could they achieve anything great? Strictly speaking, they were only Zhao Qianru's relatives, and had nothing to do with Zhao Xueqing. If it weren't for Zhao Huqing and his wife, Jiang Tian wouldn't have come to visit. Why should he give them face when he saw how rude they were? Impudent. How can you speak to your elders like that? You're so young, yet you have no respect for your elders. How did the Jiang family teach you? Becoming a pharmaceutical magnate and the richest person in the world? May I ask if a lunatic like you knows how to spell those words? Shameless boasting. Everyone was instantly enraged. Anger was written all over their faces as they all criticized and mocked Jiang Tian. All right, since you're a guest, you can't be unreasonable. You're losing the reputation of our Wei family. Wei Jinghu frowned and waved his hand, but his eyes were filled with contempt. He was clearly mocking Jiang Tian for being rude. Old Wei, your Wei family seems to be related to Wei Shuofeng, right? Jiang Tian glanced at the photo on the wall and suddenly asked, You even know about Wei Shuofeng? Everyone was curious. They thought that Jiang Tian was an idiot who didn't know about the qualifications of an expert like Wei Shuofeng. Yeah, Wei Shuofeng and I are from the same hometown. Although we're not from the same school, our relationship is still pretty good. Wei Jinghu's tone was light, but the arrogance in his eyes couldn't be concealed. Actually, he was just bragging. Wei Shuofeng was a transcendent being with a high status that their Wei family couldn't climb up to. The last time he had met Wei Shuofeng was 10 years ago. He had gone to celebrate Wei Shuofeng's birthday, but he wasn't even qualified to have a meal with him. Wei Shuofeng had only agreed to take a photo with him after pleading in every possible way. However, he had enlarged the photo by 10 times and hung it in the most conspicuous place to decorate his shop. If there were guests, he would definitely talk about his deep friendship with Wei Shuofeng. Elder Wei, Wei Shuofeng is going to be finished soon. You better stay away from him, Jiang Tian said calmly as he sipped his juice. What do you know? An expert like old immortal Wei is not someone you can talk about. How dare you? You're just a lunatic. What qualifications do you have to comment on such an expert? Boasting shamelessly. Do you know what kind of terrifying existence old immortal Wei is? Hearing Jiang Tian's words, everyone almost went crazy with anger. One after another, they slammed the table and shouted angrily, wishing that they could skin Jiang Tian alive. Tianru, Xueqing, you have to control him. If he says this outside, old immortal Wei's followers will tear him apart. Even Wei Jinghu's expression changed drastically. He was very unhappy. If not for the fact that Jiang Tian's mental state was not very good, and it was inconvenient to argue with him, he would have already thrown him out. At this time, Wei Jieqiong leaned over to Wei Jinghu's ear and whispered a few words. Wei Jinghu immediately became angry. He slammed the table and scolded, Nonsense! Dad, what's wrong? A few of his children exclaimed. Wei Jinghu's face was gloomy and he did not say anything. However, he was so angry that his hands were trembling. Wei Jieqiong laughed disdainfully. I don't know what happened, but Auntie handed Zhao Pharmaceutical Company to Xueqing and Jiang Tian. What? She handed the company to them? What can a lunatic and a fool do? Auntie has always been smart. How can she be so stupid? Zhao Pharmaceutical Company is finished. All the members of the Wei family could not believe it. They were very agitated and pounded their chests. Madman Jiang, how did you take away the shares through trickery and deceit? This company is Auntie's life's work. How can she give it to them just like that? Wouldn't they be trampling on it? That's right. A lunatic who eats, drinks, and gambles. I'm afraid the company will be destroyed in less than half a year. Some of the third-generation descendants who could not hide their thoughts pointed at Jiang Tian and scolded loudly. Hee, I didn't take it by force. Auntie Wei Fong willingly handed the company to us. In the face of the crowd's mockery, Jiang Tian's expression did not change. He crossed his legs and sipped his tea in satisfaction. Tianru, what's going on? How come I didn't know about such a big matter? Wei Jinghu slammed the table and shouted angrily. Zhao Tianru was scared silly. She quickly stood up and said, Grandfather, don't be anxious. The muscle-nourishing ointment was developed by brother-in-law and sister. The reason why Dad was transferred to the municipal committee was because Secretary Tang gave face to my brother-in-law. When these words came out, everyone looked at Zhao Tianru as if they were looking at an idiot. Their faces were filled with disbelief. Mental illness doesn't seem to be an infectious disease, right? Wei Jieqiong's beautiful eyes widened as she covered her red lips and laughed. He's a lunatic. What can he possibly come up with? Tianru, are you crazy? Secretary Tang gave face to Jiang Tian. How is that possible? The juniors discussed among themselves. They did not believe it at all. Let's not talk about the Jiang family now. Even when they were at their peak, the Jiang family's tentacles couldn't reach Lin Zhou. Second Uncle Wei Tianhe slapped his thigh and said, Jiang Tian offended a big family and was expelled from Jinling. How can the Jiang family help him? Second aunt sneered. Tianru, your whole family must have been deceived by him. Little uncle said with certainty. It's true. I saw it with my own eyes. The Tang family treated brother-in-law and sister as VIPs. Even Tang Guozhu had to be courteous to them. Zhao Qianru was so anxious that she was about to cry. Not only that, even Yi Gufeng of the East Sea and Xuemingyi of Jiangzhou treated brother-in-law with respect. Now brother-in-law's name is well known in the 3 cities of Jiangbei. No one dares to offend him. Nonsense. You guys eat. I'm going upstairs to sleep. Wei Jinghu was so angry that he could not eat anymore. He left in a huff. First uncle, second uncle, third uncle, and the rest of the second-generation descendants went upstairs to persuade the old man. Downstairs, only a few of the younger generation descendants were left. Let's go. We're not eating this meal. Jiang Tian frowned and pulled Zhao Xueqing away. Brother-in-law, sister, don't be angry. It's all my fault. I didn't explain it clearly and caused a misunderstanding. But we're family after all. Zhao Qianru hurriedly pulled Jiang Tian. She was about to cry. Forget it. Those who don't know are not guilty. Jiang Tian, don't make our relationship so tense. Zhao Xueqing also persuaded. Think about it. If you leave now, how is my dad going to enter the Wei family's door in the future? Listen to me and finish this meal before you leave. Seeing this, Jiang Tian was helpless as well. Qing'er had always had the temperament of being wronged, so he could only sit down again and silently eat. Among the third-generation descendants downstairs, Wei Jieqiong and another one called Wei Jiehui were the most outstanding. Wei Jiehui was Wei Tianduan's son. He graduated from Zhonghai Jiaotong University and worked in the Bureau of Commerce in Yangcheng City. He was promoted to a director before the age of 30 and had a bright future ahead of him. He was the most outstanding person among the third generation of the Wei family. Moreover, it was obvious that Wei Jiehui was a scheming and steady person. So many people were mocking Jiang Tian just now. Even some of the uncles could not sit still. However, he was the only one who did not say a word and looked on coldly. Everyone basically surrounded the two of them, and did not bother to talk to Jiang Tian and the other two. As they chatted, the topic turned to the banquet of bliss, which had been in the limelight recently. Everyone was instantly excited. Brother Jiehui, I heard that there are a lot of young models and prostitutes there. Is that true? A kid winked and said. Wei Jiehui only smiled faintly and did not comment. Wei Jieqiong scolded. That's all you know, kid. You don't know that this is just a gathering of the upper echelons of society. It is a gathering of the upper echelons of society. It is organized by the provincial government and a few prominent families in Yangcheng City. Even the leaders of the provincial government and city government will be there. What are the prominent families? Everyone asked curiously. The Tang clan, the Bai clan, the Tai clan, the Mo clan. Wei Jieqiong spat out a few big clans that made everyone's heart soar. Tang family? The biggest real estate conglomerate in Yangcheng City? Bai family? The biggest film company in Lingnan City. Tai family? They are worth tens of billions. I think they are one of the top 10 military companies in the country. Everyone exclaimed. These families controlled almost all of Lingnan City's economic lifeline. Each of them was worth tens of billions. Wei Jinghu's family could only look up to them. Brother Hui, don't you know Tang Xiaoza? Can you take us to the banquet of bliss? Suddenly, the young master who had been very interested in the outside girls asked again. His name was Wei Yang and he was Wei Jieqiong's younger brother. He was famous for being a spoiled brat. His father sent him to a community college in Australia to study after he scored less than 200 points in his college entrance exam. Australia was a place where Chinese people were rare, so he could not stay there. Every few days he would come back to China. Even though he didn't learn anything, he was able to indulge in all sorts of entertainment in Yangcheng. Now he was thinking about the banquet of bliss. How can you participate in a place like this? Wei Jiehui rolled his eyes at them. Everyone's faces turned sour, and they looked disheartened. Seeing this, Wei Jiehui took out a few tickets and smiled. But Master Tang did give me a few tickets to the banquet of bliss. Banquet of bliss. That works too. The banquet of bliss is not formal, but it's more fun. Everyone cheered and fought over the tickets. There were not enough tickets to go around. Wei Jiehui looked at Jiang Tian and smiled apologetically. I'm sorry, Jiang Tian. There are only so many tickets. But I don't think it's useful for you to participate in a banquet like this. As soon as he said that, the young people looked at Jiang Tian and Zhao Xueqing. Some looked at them mockingly, some looked at them coldly, and some looked at them with all kinds of complicated emotions. In their eyes, Jiang Tian was ignorant, incompetent, penniless, and even crazy. He was the highest quality of trash. If he participated in this kind of gathering, he would only become a laughingstock, right? No need. We have tickets. Even a clay figurine would be enraged by such humiliation. Zhao Xueqing took out a ticket and smiled coldly. Everyone was stunned. How could she have a ticket? Chapter 122. Wei Yang smiled mockingly and said, It's just one. If you go alone, are you going to leave Jiang Tian here? This is a family coupon. You can bring a maximum of 20 people in. Zhao Qianru snorted coldly. It's fake, it must be fake. Why would they invite you to a prestigious event like the Feast of Bliss? Moreover, family coupons are all given to large families. In Linzhou, only large families like the Tang family are qualified to receive one. Everyone started to clamor, their faces filled with disdain. They did not believe it at all. Wei Jieqiong sneered and said, Xueqing Jiang Tian. Is there any point in pretending like this? It'll be exposed sooner or later. All right. I hope to see you at the banquet tonight. Suddenly, Wei Jiehui's phone rang. He picked it up and was shocked. He gestured for everyone to keep quiet. It's a call from Tang Xiaozi. Tang Xiaozi. Everyone immediately fell silent, not daring to make even the slightest sound. Wei Jiehui stood up and answered the call with a smile. Young Master Tang, what instructions do you have? Even through the phone, he still had a fawning expression on his face. He had already glimpsed the essence of Huaxia's officialdom. After saying a few words, he looked at Jiang Tian and Zhao Xueqing in surprise and said, Yes, they are here. Yes. I'll definitely bring them there. After hanging up the phone, Wei Jiehui looked at Jiang Tian and said suspiciously, Jiang Tian Xueqing, Tang Xiaozi would like to invite you to dinner and attend the Feast of Bliss. Everyone turned their heads in unison and looked at Jiang Tian in surprise. They could not believe it. Could it be that he really had an invitation? How could a lunatic like him catch Tang Xiaozi's attention? Sure. Jiang Tian readily agreed. He wanted to fight with the Wei family, so he had to take in these young masters as his subordinates. It was better to observe them early. Wei Jieqiong pondered for a moment before suddenly bursting into laughter. Jiang Tian Xueqing, do you really dare to go? Aren't you afraid that Tang Xiaozi will break your legs? Oh, I see. Wei Yang came to a realization. Then he looked at Jiang Tian mockingly and said, Jiang Tian Xueqing, you guys better not go. If Tang Xiaozi wants to bully you, we won't be able to stop him. He had a big mouth and spilled everything. Did you know that Tang Xiaozi was originally engaged to Xueqing? The Zhao family even got an order from them, but Xueqing chose you in the end. Think about it, how would Tang Xiaozi treat you guys? There's such a complicated story behind this. Sister Xueqing, what were you thinking back then? You don't even like Tang Xiaozi? Young Master Tang must have given this ticket to Sister Xueqing, right? Jiang Tian, do you still dare to go now? Everyone came to a sudden realization, and their expressions changed. Then they looked at Jiang Tian mockingly. Who told you to be so arrogant? Now why don't you continue to be arrogant? You're even famous in the 3 cities of Jiangbei, made Yi Gufeng bow his head, and even treated as an honored guest by the Tang family. Bullshit. If you really have such ability, you might be able to fight Tang Xiaozi head-on. If you're just bragging, you'll probably be trampled to death by Tang Xiaozi like an ant. Then all the more I have to go. I want to let Tang Xiaozi know that Qingyer's choice of me was right. Jiang Tian's expression was calm as he held Zhao Xueqing's little hand and smiled gently. Fuck, are you really going to court death? Wei Yang couldn't believe it. He looked at Jiang Tian as if he was looking at an idiot. His eyebrows were raised to the sky as he said disdainfully, if Tang Xiaozi doesn't break your legs today, I'll call you brother-in-law from now on. You really can't talk about summer insects with ice. These people think that some bullshit young master is amazing. How would they know the capabilities of cultivators? Jiang Tian only smiled indifferently and couldn't be bothered to refute. They were just distant relatives. In his previous life, no one in the huge Wei family had really helped him and Zhao Xueqing. If it weren't for Zhao Qianru, Jiang Tian wouldn't have come at all. He would have left long ago. After sitting for a while, Jiang Tian and the other 2 bid farewell and left. Zhao Qianru couldn't be bothered to greet her grandfather, and even left the wristwatch behind. Today, her grandfather's family's attitude towards Jiang Tian made her very uncomfortable. Jiang Tian, are you really going to go tonight? Will there be anything wrong? In the car, Zhao Xueqing wanted to say something but hesitated. She said awkwardly, back then, the Zhao Pharmaceutical Company did accept an order from the Tang family. We were in the wrong. Swear, don't take this to heart. The Zhao family accepting their order is giving them face. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Back then, when he was in the extraterritorial space, he went on a crusade and killed without restraint. God knows how many planets and continents he had plundered. What was a mere few tens of millions worth of goods? He comforted her gently. Don't you know what your husband is capable of? With me around, you can do whatever you want in Yangcheng. That's good too. Do as you wish. Zhao Xueqing gradually relaxed and smiled. Zhao Qianru raised her arms and cheered. Her face was red with excitement. Brother-in-law, you look so cool when you hit people. Are you going to hit people tonight too? How can I be so boorish at such a high-end social event? I hate violence the most. Be civilized, you must be civilized. I am a gentleman. Jiang Tian shook his head unperturbed. You can act all you want in front of my sister. Zhao Qianru's face darkened. Was it not considered violence when you hit Zhou Jinghao's underlings? Jiang Tian smiled mischievously. Isn't Wei Shuofeng known as the sorcery master? Since all the heroes of Jiangnan are worshipping me, I'll show them what a real spell is. In the evening, Wei Jiehui, Wei Jieqiong, and Wei Yang drove a Mercedes-Benz to the hotel to pick them up. Jiang Tian brought Zhao Xueqing and her sister downstairs and got into the Rolls-Royce Phantom. The 2 cars quickly started and went straight to the venue of the Banquet of Bliss. Shen Mange and Ghost Kick also drove behind quietly. Yangcheng Cape Beach. When everyone arrived, they were all shocked. The 3-kilometer-long beach was surrounded by metal fences. The lights were dazzling, and there was a hubbub of voices. The surroundings were heavily guarded, and many police officers were patrolling. In the sky, a few hot air balloons floated, and a few bright 3-dimensional words hung down. Banquet of Bliss. In the parking lot, hundreds of luxury cars were piled up. BMWs and Mercedes-Benz were all starting cars. Most of them were supercars such as Maserati, Lamborghini, and McLaren. There were even many Bugatti Veyron and Aston Martin. In the coastal area, there were nearly 1,000 berths, and luxury yachts that were rarely seen in Wuxia were parked there. There were many top international yacht brands such as America's Mercedes-Benz, France's Bernardo, and Italy's Faraday. Each of them was priced at 10 million yuan. Behind the beach was a gently rolling mountain range that stretched for 10 kilometers. It was the famous Tidehark Mountain in Yangcheng. On Tidehark Mountain, there was a magnificent villa-style hotel. Its background was mysterious and its owner was unknown, but Jiang Tian had already investigated it. It was the property of the Wei family. Out of the parking lot, There was a red carpet that stretched for 3 miles. There were flowers on both sides and cameras and SLR cameras. All the major media outlets in Wuxia were there, and their cameras flashed frequently. The next day, there would be a yacht race and auction. 1% of the transaction would be donated to a charity fund. Walking on the red carpet, everyone felt that their eyes weren't enough. Financial tycoons, industry giants, and celebrities appeared one after another. There was no lack of political figures among them. There were also beautiful girls in bikinis or evening gowns gathered in this area. They were either tall and elegant or petite and exquisite, but all of them had picturesque features and pretty faces. They were all able to suppress Wei Jieqiong and Wei Ruyun. These are the legendary young models, right? Wei Yang's eyes were filled with excitement as he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Wei Jieqiong rolled her eyes at him. As long as you can bring them into the venue, you can do whatever you want. But you have to be careful of your influence. Don't worry, big brother. I won't do anything rash. Wei Yang's face was filled with fear as he shook his head. I don't care about them. He was meeting Tang Xiaozi and the other young masters today. If he were to act rashly, it might cause a negative impact and leave a bad impression. Wei Jiehui nodded and looked at Jiang Tian. However, he saw Jiang Tian's calm expression, as if he was used to such things. He could not help but be slightly surprised. However, he did not mind. Jiang Tian was a good-for-nothing descendant of a fallen family. How could he compare to young Master Tang? When they arrived at the entrance, there was indeed a restriction. Zhao Xueqing held Jiang Tian's arm and walked into the venue with her head held high. On the beach where the banquet was held, the rich and powerful had already gathered. The rich people attending the banquet were all worth at least 1 billion yuan. Someone from the Mo family is here. The head of the Mo family, Mo Haoxiong. Suddenly, an exclamation came from the crowd. An old man with an extraordinary bearing walked over with his head held high, surrounded by more than 10 young disciples. This old man was already in his 70s, but his bearing was extraordinary. His powerful aura suppressed the entire venue, and his tiger-like eyes shone brightly. Even some of the top tycoons showed respect and fear when they saw the old man. He had achieved initial transcendent state, and was the only grandmaster in Lingnan. He was known as the guardian god, and was as famous as Hong Tianzhao. Even overlords like Li Zhenwei and Tang Guozhu were taught by him. Back in the day, the fierce tiger special forces of the Lingnan military region wanted to recruit Mo Haoxiong as their instructor. However, Old Master Mo refused. That was when Tang Guozhu from Linzhou City took over. If he wanted to lead the fierce tiger special forces, the fierce tiger special forces would be even more powerful now. Even so, the military still values Old Master Mo a lot. They often ask him to teach them. Even the military officers have nothing but respect for him. Seeing Mo Haoxiong walk over, everyone was filled with admiration and envy. Someone from the Bai family is here. It is Bai Choufei, the young master of the Bai family. His date tonight is Huaxia's most popular star, Gu Jihua. That's an Oscar winner after all. Young Master Bai is so lucky. Another round of exclamations came from the crowd. Bai Choufei was in his mid-30s, but he was still single. He was known as the most eligible bachelor in Lingnan. His appearance was handsome, and his figure was tall and straight. His pair of long legs made him seem like a crane among chickens. He greeted everyone along the way with a graceful demeanor. Chapter 123. His female companion was the Huaxia star, Gu Jihua. She was wearing a red evening gown. She had successfully entered Hollywood and left her name and fingerprints on the Walk of Fame. Her endorsement fees were over 100 million. There were only a handful of Huaxia stars who could surpass her in terms of achievements and influence. The Bai family has a net worth of 50 billion. They are in the cultural industry. Now, young Master Bai has led the Bai family into the film and television investment industry. Their movies have grossed over 100 million at the box office. Besides, the Bai family is also the #1 entertainment tycoon in the 7 cities of Jiangnan. The Flying Cloud Club led by Bai Choufei is the #1 club in Jiangnan. It can even defeat Yi Gufeng of Jiangbei. Everyone at the scene was extremely envious. It was rare to see such an achievement at such a young age. Rumble. In the sky, a series of roaring sounds could be heard. Helicopters circled around and landed on the tarmac, stirring up dust and flying colorful flags. The Tai family is here. It's a fleet of helicopters. Look at this formation. It should be the eldest son of the Tai family, Tai Minghuang. Everyone pointed at the sky and exclaimed. Each of these helicopters was worth tens of millions. However, they were all private assets of the Tai family. The Tai family started out as a civil aviation company. They owned South China Airlines. Now they were also investing in the military and civilian industries. They had made a lot of money in the general aviation industry. The Tai family was in charge of the business jet exhibition. Uncle Mo, Brother Bai, you guys are early. Tai Minghuang was not a soldier, but he was wearing a camouflage combat uniform, high-top combat boots, and a pair of windproof tactical goggles. He walked over and greeted Mo Haoxiong and Bai Choufei. As time went by, more and more VIPs arrived. Brother Tai, several of your helicopters are newly developed models. They're selling well. You must have made a lot of money, right? Pfft, Brother Bai, you must be kidding me. I work in the factory every day. I'm not like you. A superstar who sleeps with a young model and earns hundreds of millions from one movie. Mr. Zhang, you're here too. Your urban complex is open for business. I heard it's selling well. Pfft, Mr. Liu, you're mocking me again. I heard that your rare earth mine reserves are quite large. You'll get 10 times the income from one investment. Mr. Zhang, I'm Zhang Yaji from Green Orange Entertainment. May I get to know you? Miss Zhang, I've heard so much about you. I have an endorsement that I want to talk to you about. How about we talk at my hotel tonight? The field was full of such conversations. Everyone held their wine glasses and communicated with each other. In just a few words, they had reached a deal worth hundreds of millions or even billions. There were even celebrities and models shuttling back and forth like butterflies, adding a bit of color to the gathering, making the venue seem extraordinarily lively and unprecedentedly grand. Suddenly, someone pointed at the parking lot outside the door and exclaimed in shock. Holy shit, a Bugatti Veyron 200 million. There are less than 10 of them in total. The license plate is Guangdong 58. It's obviously Master Tang's car. Tang Xiaozi is here. A discerning person slapped his thigh and exclaimed. Let's go and welcome them. When these words sounded, everyone hurriedly went up to welcome them. Even Bai Choufei and Iron Light Monarch couldn't sit still. Other than the monster from the Wei family, Tang Xiaozi was the leader of the younger generation in the Jiangnan province, not to mention in Yangcheng. This kid is incredible. He's so young, but he already has tens of billions of assets under his control. Half of the houses in Yangcheng were built by him. Even a grandmaster like Mo Haoxiong, who was in charge of a region, was moved when he saw him. He clapped his hands in admiration. Seeing Tang Xiaozi enter the venue, even Mo Haoxiong didn't dare to be arrogant, and went to welcome him personally. Tang Xiaozi is incredible. In the crowd, a tycoon in the real estate industry shook his head and lamented. 5 years ago, Tang Xiaozi opened a branch in the East China Sea and fought with local tycoons like Yi Gufeng and Lu Zikuan. Yi Gufeng's company went bankrupt and a few of their projects became unfinished buildings. How can Yi Gufeng compare to Master Tang? Someone in the know said with disdain. The other tycoons were all startled after hearing this. They finally realized how extraordinary Tang Xiaozi was. At that time, Tang Xiaozi had just returned from Wall Street and entered the East China Sea as the CEO of the Tang family's East China Sea branch. Then he launched a series of attacks in the East China Sea and engaged in a fierce battle with Yi Gufeng. In just half a year, Yi Gufeng was defeated. From then on, Yi Gufeng stopped dabbling in real estate and focused on shipping. Since then, Tang Xiaozi had become a rare opponent in the real estate industry in Wuxia. He could even drink with the mayor of Yangcheng. He was indeed a business genius. Master Tang, you're here? Master Tang, I finally get to meet you. Tang Xiaozi immediately became the center of attention when he arrived at the venue. He was like a magnet that attracted all the tycoons, celebrities, and tycoons. Tang Xiaozi was in his 30s. He was tall and well-built. He had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. He was definitely a handsome man, and attracted the attention of many socialites. He greeted and exchanged greetings with everyone one by one. He was refined and courteous, without losing his poise. 3 top-notch young masters have gathered. I didn't come to this banquet of bliss in vain. Tang Xiaozi by Chou Fei, Tai Ming Huang. Together with that monster from Wei family, Yangcheng's 4 great young masters can be said to be able to cover the sky with one hand in the Jiangnan area. Many tycoons sighed as they looked at Tang Xiaozi and the others. There was envy, jealousy, and respect. They were too outstanding, shining like stars in the sky. Their achievements could suppress many old tycoons and old giants. However, Bai Choufei discovered that Tang Xiaozi's eyes seemed to be a bit gloomy. His smile was stiff, and he seemed to have lost his soul. He pulled over Tang Xiaozi's loyal little brother Lu Fan and asked, "Little Lu, what's wrong with Master Tang today? He doesn't seem to be in the right state." "Master Tang, don't mention it." Lu Fan was precisely the handsome guy who met Jiang Tian's group on the highway. He immediately shook his head and said with a bitter smile, "Lin State Zhao family's Zhao Xueqing brought her husband to participate in the banquet of bliss. Do you think Master Tang is in a good mood?" "Which Zhao family?" "That Zhao family that broke off the engagement." Bai Choufei was greatly astonished. Lu Fan nodded. "Holy shit, is she crazy? What is she doing here? Isn't she going to make Master Tang unhappy?" Bai Choufei's face immediately became gloomy, a hint of ruthlessness flashing through his eyes. When Iron Light Monarch heard this, his eyes flickered. He said in a low voice, "Little Lu, what does Master Tang mean?" "Master Tang still has feelings for that Zhao Xueqing, so he doesn't want to humiliate her." Lu Fan shook his head and sighed. "But she brought her husband here, which made Master Tang very unhappy, so?" "Understood." Iron Light Monarch snapped his fingers. Then he exchanged a look with Bai Choufei. His face was ashen as he made a throat-slitting gesture. Bai Choufei nodded and said, "Little Lu, keep an eye on the entrance. Remember to tell us if he's coming." "Don't worry. How could we let him run away?" Lu Fan nodded, a flattering smile on his face. What did Lu Fan just say? Why is Master Tai's face turning ashen? Have you heard of Zhao Xueqing from Linzhou who broke off the engagement with Master Tang? She seems to be coming, and she even brought her husband with her. What? She's crazy. In less than 10 minutes, a piece of news swept through the crowd like a hurricane. Zhao Xueqing from Linzhou has brought her husband to the banquet. At the same time, the information about Zhao Xueqing and Jiang Tian spread to everyone's ears in an instant. She was the daughter of a third-rate family in a small place like Linzhou. She was like a country bumpkin, and she was also a burden. She actually cheated Master Tang of tens of millions of yuan, and then broke off the engagement. Wasn't this digging a hole to cheat him? And Jiang Tian was rumored to be even more unbearable. He was the descendant of a fallen family, and he ate, drank, whored, and gambled. He was ignorant and incompetent, and even mentally unstable. He was a good-for-nothing to the extreme. Remember, if you want to curry favor with Master Tang, you must trample on that Jiang Tian tonight. A young master told his sidekick. I brought 7 or 8 bodyguards with me. The sidekick asked seriously. As long as I can curry favor with Master Tang, I can even kill him. But can I kill someone at this kind of banquet? This is going to be fun. He stole Master Tang's woman. And he still dares to come to the banquet of bliss. Master Tang is going to play him to death. There was also a middle-aged black-bellied old man who shook his wine glass and sighed to the starlet next to him. What fun! It's boring. There's no confrontation at all. A tycoon next to him sneered disdainfully. What a good-for-nothing. I'm afraid all the tycoons here can smash him to death with a spit. He'll be scared to death. The banquet of bliss seemed to be very lively and prosperous, but in fact, there were undercurrents and hidden murderous intents. Almost all the tycoons and celebrities were paying attention to the developments of this matter. Master Tang's influence is really great. Without saying a word, he can put Jiang Tian and the others into eternal damnation. Seeing this, Zhou Xinya couldn't help but sneer. Jiang Tian, Zhao Xueqing, you bullied the weak and forced my father to kneel in public. But there's always someone better than you. What's the big deal in a small place like Linzhou? This time, you're going to die when you meet Tang Xiaozi and Lu Fan. Suddenly she who was staring at the entrance, pulled Lu Fan. Lu Fan, they're here. Lu Fan quickly turned his head and his eyes suddenly turned cold. He said in a low voice, Jiang Tian, Zhao Xueqing is here. Is that him? He's not knowledgeable at all. He's obviously a loser. Tai Ming Huang's eyes fell on Jiang Tian. His face was full of mockery as he shook his head gently. The Banquet of Bliss was originally a gathering with a strong sense of entertainment. Everyone was wearing casual clothes of different styles, and there was even no lack of fancy clothes. Only Jiang Tian was wearing a suit and leather shoes. He was meticulously dressed, clearly a bumpkin from the countryside. Granny Lu had just entered the Grand View Garden. He's Jiang Tian. I don't see anything strange about him. He stole Master Tang's woman and actually dared to come. A tycoon said in disbelief. Hee, this Zhao Xueqing isn't that pretty? Her breasts aren't as big as mine, but Master Tang likes her. Guo Jihua, the female celebrity, whispered with a sour face. Don't you know? That Jiang Tian is a lunatic. He drank so much that his brain was damaged. What would a lunatic be afraid of? Another tycoon mocked. She's really here. Tang Xiaozi, who was chatting with Elder Hiroshi, also saw Zhao Xueqing. His eyes flashed with obsession and passion. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.